Genius is a flower of great rarity that grows in the most unlikely places. Recognition of genius is an accolade that usually becomes a posthumous award. Certainly, this is true of the man called simply O. Henry, master of the tale with a twist and one of the greatest storytellers of all time. The O. Henry Playhouse, dramatizing some of the most diverting stories ever told. I shall let him tell his own story just as he told it to me. His name's Tom Berryman. I should say one of Fortune's darlings, being everything most of us wish we were. Young, rich and personable, liked by most men and chaste by most women. A thoroughly unlikely subject for a severe case of neurasthenia. Here then the story, which I shall call Let Me Feel Your Pulse.
It was terrible, terrible.
What was wrong with you, Tom?
Well, that's just it, nothing, but I was terribly ill. I couldn't work, sleep, eat, play polo, or anything.
Now, that's serious.
Oh, deadly. Yet the only way I could get sympathy from any of my friends was to go without shaving for 4 days. Even then somebody would say, "Oh, man, you look as hardy as a pine nut. Been up for a jaunt in the Maine woods, huh?"
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
So what'd you do?
I went to a doctor.
That's logical.
It was fascinating. Of course, I have a special feeling for that doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You see, he was my first. He was a young doctor, somewhere between 20 and 40. He wore very bright socks, but he looked like Napoleon. I liked him immensely.
Well, that's good.
After a bit, he brought out a bottle of whiskey and gave me a drink. Then I began to like him even better. Then he put a tight compress gadget on my upper arm and pumped. Oh, gee, that hurt.
How long had it been before you took any alcohol into your system, Mr. Berryman?
Alcohol, doctor? Well, quite a while, I guess.
Well, what I've just shown you is the effect alcohol has on the blood pressure.
Well, isn't that marvelous? Oh, but do you think it's a sufficient test? What I mean is, have one on me, and let's try the other arm, huh?
Certainly not.
Oh.
In any case, Mr. Berryman, for your age, height, and weight, I should say your blood pressure is quite normal.
Normal?
In fact, judging by your test so far, I should say you have every prospect of living to be 90.
Oh, gosh, can't you do any better for me than that?
Well, the hemoglobin test looks promising.
You found something wrong, Doctor?
Yes, Mr. Berryman. The color of your blood.
Well, I know it should be blue, but this is a country of mix-up. You know, some of my ancestors were Cavaliers, but they got thick with some people on Nantucket Island.
I mean, in layman's terms, that the shade of red is too light.
Oh, well, it's a case of matching instead of matches, huh?
Very amusing, Mr. Berryman.
On the contrary, Doctor, I'm wondering if the, whatever it is my flesh is heir to is indicated by this, blood thing is, necessarily fatal?
Oh, I shouldn't think so, Mr. Berryman.
Oh, I'm very relieved to hear you say so.
As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to suggest a sojourn at a sanatorium, where you will get complete rest for a while and allow your nerves to get into better condition.
That's what you recommend, Doctor?
Decidedly. Indeed, I have a sanatorium in mind in which I have an interest. In which I'm interested. I shall even, Mr. Berryman, transport you there myself.
You will?
Yes, indeed. This way, Mr. Berryman.
The sanatorium was in the Catskills, on a bare mountain frequented only by infrequent frequenters. My doctor was most agreeable. He gave me a stimulant without applying the compress to the arm.
Oh, really?
And a sound rose like a sudden windstorm among the pine trees. Mm-hmm. It was produced by all the other guests whispering very loudly, neurasthenia. Except one man with a nose whom I distinctly heard say chronic alcoholism. I hope to meet him again. And then I was conducted to the workshop.
All our guests, like you, are suffering from nervous reaction, Mr. Berryman. Here, they find relaxation by devoting themselves to physical labor.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
The lady making pies in the corner is the celebrated Lulu Lullington, the authoress of the novel entitled Why Love Loves.
You don't say.
What she's doing now is simply to rest her mind after performing that piece of work.
Yeah, I've read it. Why doesn't she rest her mind by writing another one?
The gentleman pouring water through the funnel is a Wall Street broker retreating from overwork. Now, what are you doing, Mr. Berryman?
Oh, putting my wallet in a safe place.
Those others you see are architects playing with Noah's Arks, ministers reading Darwin's Theory of Evolution. Oh, and that fellow pulling the little red wagon around the room is a very prominent artist indeed. Now you look pretty strong, Mr. Berryman.
Oh, but I assure you, Doctor...
Very strong. I think the best mental relaxation for you would be throwing small boulders over the mountainside and then bringing them up again. Mr. Berryman, where are you going?
I'm going to catch the first train back to town.
Yes, well, now what you need...
Yes, Doctor?
What you need is sea, air, and companionship.
Oh, I see. What a mermaid?
As it happens, I'm interested in the very place.
Oh, yes, there's no doubt about it, no doubt at all. What you need...
Yes, Doctor?
...is absolute rest.
Yes, Doctor.
Absolute rest and exercise.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, sir, and what may I do for you?
What I need is absolute rest and no exercise. Give me a single room with a bath.
Certainly, sir. Any particular kind of room, sir?
Yeah, I'd like a room with one of those tall folding beds in it, and a relay of bellboys to work it up and down while I rest, okay?
Oh, wise guy. Another crack like that and you'll need a doctor. Diet. That's the answer. Now, I want you to follow this diet chart strictly, Mr. Berryman.
I'll follow it a mile if I can get 1/10 of what's on it.
And I shall give you a prescription which you will find of great benefit. Above all, you must have...
I know, Doctor. Fresh air and exercise.
Well, if it isn't Tom Berryman. How is it, Tom?
You're asking me how I feel. It's terrible.
Don't tell me. I can see it. You look as hardy as a pine knot. Been for a jaunt up in the Maine woods, huh?
So, for the first time since we both left school, I went down south to John's.
John?
John is my friend, yeah.
I see.
John is also mica, which is more valuable and clearer than gold. He has a farm 7 miles from Pineville, a big neighborless cottage surrounded by 100 mountains. Well, John met me at Pineville, and we drove up the rest of the way to his home.
Well, old chap, how does it strike you?
Oh, that air! Are you kidding?
Come on, out you get. After you've had a rest, I'll show you round. My alfalfa. I'd like you to see my alfalfa, Tom.
Alfalfa. Oh, yeah, wasn't she in the chorus?
Green, you know, and tender, and you plow it under after the first season.
I know, and the grass grows over it.
Right. Say, you know something about farmers after all.
I know something of some farmers, and a sure scythe will mow them down one day.
Good to have you here, old chap.
Good to be here, old chap. I say, who's that?
Amaryllis.
You serious? Well, she's grown up or something, hasn't she?
Even kid sisters don't stay 12 years old forever.
Hello, Tom.
Why, Amaryllis, you've certainly grown up, or something.
Seems like there isn't very much else to do around here, Tom.
Well, at least you haven't changed, your name, that is.
I wish I could. It's such an awfully peculiar name. Oh, Tom, I'm sorry to hear you've been ill. What's the trouble exactly?
Nerves a little unstrung. Just a minor breakdown, that's all, honey. Couple of weeks up here and it'll be good as new. Better. Well, good night, old man.
John, don't go. Not for a minute, will you?
What's the matter? Something made you nervous? Shh. What are you listening to?
That silence. I haven't heard a silence before in years. Oh, it's quite unnerving.
Oh, go to sleep.
Sleep! Oh, if I could only hear a star twinkle or a blade of grass sharpen itself, I could compose myself to rest. Oh, hey, what's that?
What? Didn't hear a thing.
Thought I heard a sound like a catboat sail flapping. Oh, it's probably only a tack in the carpet. Good night, John.
Good night, old man. Sleep tight.
Yeah, sleep. Oh, brother. So, as I was saying, Doctor, I'm told that you were the best practicing physician available in Pineville.
Oh, my dear sir.
Doctor, I have slipped away from my friends to consult you because I am desperately in need of medical advice.
Oh, really?
I've been to the farm outside Pineville 1 week now, and I begin to be alarmed. I am eating and sleeping well, and actually beginning to enjoy life. Which for a man in my condition will never do, Doctor.
I don't believe I
Fortunately,
understand.
with all my experience in the medical field, I know exactly what to do, and here I am.
Well,
Doctor, I have cirrhosis of the heart, indurated arteries, neurasthenia, neuritis, acute indigestion, and convalescence.
Oh, dear.
I am going to live on a strict diet. I shall also take a tepid bath at night and a cold one in the morning. I shall endeavor to fix my mind on pleasant subjects.
Oh, that's
I intend
fine.
to take one phosphorus pill 3 times a day, preferably after meals,
Yes,
and a tonic
I-
composed of the tinctures of gentian, cinchona, calisase, and cardian compound.
Yes,
But thank you so much, and don't hesitate to send your bill. Good day, Doctor.
Oh, good day.
Oh, Doctor, Why, what's the matter? You seem nervous.
Nervous?
I forgot to mention with respect to my treatment that I shall also take absolute rest and lots of exercise. Good morning. I must say that my consultation with the Pineville doctor made me feel much better.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the reestablishment in my mind of the fact that I was hopelessly ill gave me so much satisfaction that I almost became gloomy again. Well, there is nothing more alarming to a man in my condition than to feel himself growing well and cheerful. Unfortunately, the tonic mountain air, the wholesome food cooked by John's little sister, whose name was Amaryllis,
Yes, you told me.
and the daily walks we took among the hills so alleviated my malady that I soon became utterly wretched and despondent.
I expect it is very dull here, Tom. I mean, even I find it very dull here sometimes, even though I was born in these mountains and probably couldn't be happy anywhere else.
But dull? Look, that has got nothing whatever to do with it.
Oh, I expect it has really, Tom. I mean, for a man of the world like you.
Not at all, Amaryllis.
Oh, yes. I know you are a man of the world.
Oh, nonsense.
Well, it's very nice of you to say so, but I know it. So it must be dull. I mean, with just the farm hands and John and me and, well, the White Orpingtons and whatnot.
I assure you, I do not find it in the remotest degree dull.
Oh, Tom.
And even if I did, I assure you my condition isn't as simple as that. Now, my symptoms... I say there's a house down there.
Yes.
I never noticed it before.
We never came this way before.
Oh, somebody lives there.
Oh, yes, Dr. Tatum's lived there ever since he retired, ages ago.
Doctor?
Just a simple old country doctor. I'm afraid the new men in Pineville think he's pretty old-fashioned. Oh, they did before he retired, ages ago.
Well, do you know him, Amaryllis?
Dr. Tatum? Oh, of course, I've known him all my life. That is, as a friend. Somehow, John and I don't seem to have had much need for a doctor.
Very interesting. A doctor?
Oh, now, Tom,
Yeah?
you're not
Oh,
going...
no. Whatever gave you that idea? It was simply interesting, that's all.
Oh.
Unusual. A doctor living on a mountain? Well, merely a matter of interest, that's all. Dr. Tatum.
Oh, looky here, brother. I'm over the hill. Ask anyone. I'm retired. Go see one of those smart colleagues of mine in Pineville.
I did. Well, that is, I won't take up much of your time, Doctor. In fact, with all my experience, I can save us both a lot of time. Diagnose my case, touch my nose with my right forefinger, strike myself below the knee to make my foot kick, stick out my tongue, and songe out in the price of cemetery lots in Pineville, all in 5 minutes flat.
Brother, I can see you're in a mighty bad way.
I am?
A mighty bad way.
Well, Doctor, it was a long haul to get up here to see you, but it's going to be worth it. I know it.
Mighty bad.
Am I in any danger?
Considerable.
Oh.
There's a chance for you to pull through, brother, but it's a mighty slim one.
Oh, now what can it be? I have taken antibiotics, arsenic and gold, phosphorus, exercise, nux vocemer, hydrotherapeutic baths, rest, excitement, codeine, and aromatic spirits of ammonia. Is there anything left in the pharmacopoeia?
Somewhere in these mountains, there's a plant growing.
A plant?
A flowering plant that'll cure you. And it's about the only thing that will.
Imagine that. A flowering plant.
It's of a kind that's as old as the world. But of late, it's powerful scarce and hard to find. You and I will have to hunt it up.
You mean go out in the mountains and look for it?
That's right, brother. If you want to pull through.
I do, Doctor, I do, but you...
I'm mountain bred, brother, and tougher than I look. I'm not engaged in active practice now, but I'll take your case.
Oh, Dr. Tatum, I can't thank you enough. You've given me hope.
And mind you, it may be rough. You'll have to come up here at dawn every day and help me hunt this plant till we find it.
At dawn?
At dawn, brother.
It's a paralyzing thought, Doctor, but if you can do it for a patient, I guess I can do it. Well, I've got to, haven't I, if I want to live?
Well, that's about it, brother. Those city doctors, they might know a lot about these newfangled scientific things, but they sure don't know much about the cures nature carries around in her saddlebags.
I believe you. I have every confidence in you, Doctor, and I place myself in your hands.
Dawn tomorrow, brother.
Tomorrow, at dawn. Well, now, every day the old doctor and I hunted the cure-all plant among the mountains and valleys of the Blue Ridge.
Every day.
Uh-huh. Together we toiled up steep heights so slippery with fallen autumn leaves that we had to catch every sapling and branch within our reach to save us from falling. Oh, we waded through gorges and chasms breast high with laurel and ferns. We followed the banks of mountain streams for miles. We wound our way like Indians through brakes of pine. Roadside, hillside, mountainside we explored, all in the search for that miraculous plant. Oh, Doctor, you were right. That plant's grown deucedly scarce and hard to find.
Warned you, didn't I?
You did, you did. Oh, but a solid month, day after day, and never hide nor hair of it.
You want to give up, brother?
I just want to rest for half a minute. But, Doctor, don't you ever get tired?
I'm mountain bred, brother. You want to give up?
No, I can't. Doesn't my life depend on finding that plant?
It does that, brother.
Besides, if you can do it... All right, Doctor. Excelsior.
More flapjacks, Tom?
For heaven's sake, Amaryllis. The man's gone through the best part of a side of beef, 4 potatoes whole, cabbage, cauliflower, bread and butter, apple pie, cream, half a dozen flapjacks.
Tom's convalescing, John. He must build up his strength. Tom? More flapjacks? Tom?
Good grief, Amaryllis. The man's dropped off to sleep in his chair. He's obviously exhausted.
Oh, you were right, Doctor. That plant is hard to find.
It is that, brother. Must say you're standing up to it better.
Well, it's a matter of life and death.
It is that.
Well, shall we get going?
Guess if you can, I can, brother.
Doctor, what if that plant is extinct?
Oh, never say it, brother. We'll find it, if it kills the pair of us.
Well, one evening after I'd got back from a 6-mile tramp with the doctor, Amaryllis and I took a little walk under the trees near the road. Oh, the stars, well, they were close enough to pick. And we looked at the mountains. Amaryllis and I, at the 100-odd mountains drawing their royal purple robes around them for their night's repose.
There's no sight on earth quite like it. Nothing quite like it. Tom?
Amaryllis?
Oh, Tom, I'm so glad you're well again. I tried to hide it, but when you first came here, I was really frightened. I thought you were really ill.
Well again!
Tom?
Well again! Do you know that I have only one chance in 1,000 to live?
Oh, surely.
1 in 1,000?
Oh, but Tom, why? Tom, you're as strong as one of those plow mules, and you sleep 12 hours every night, and your eating is out of house and home. What more do you want?
More? What more? Oh, look, I tell you that unless we find the magic, that is the plant we are looking for in time, nothing can save me. The doctor said so.
What doctor?
Dr. Tatum. He's been telling me so for 6 weeks.
Dr. Tatum? Oh, Tom, is that why you go so early every day?
It is.
Is it he who takes you on those long walks and climbs that have brought you back to your health and strength?
That have what?
God bless that old doctor.
Just a minute. Amaryllis, just a minute.
Oh, there he is now, in the same old horse and buggy he used to drive around in before he retired.
Now, just a minute, Amaryllis. If you
Hello,
think I'm...
doctor.
Oh, hello there, sister.
Hello there, Dr. Tatum. I'll be on hand, as usual, in the morning at the usual time.
That's the stuff, brother.
Well, come on over.
I'd like a word with the young woman.
Me, doctor?
Just a word.
Oh, yes, doctor. You'll excuse me, Tom?
Go right ahead.
Coming, doctor.
Oh, well again. Well again. A very fair indication of how much females understand.
Amaryllis.
I must say I have a slight interest in what Dr. Tatum said to you, and why he drove off without a word to me. I must say, you look very pretty in the lamplight.
The doctor said that you needn't call anymore as a patient, but he'd be glad to see you anytime as friend.
Needn't call anymore as a patient?
Then he told me to look up my name in the encyclopedia and tell you what it means.
What does it mean?
It seems to be the name of a genus of flowering plants.
A flowering plant?
And also the name of a country girl in Theocritus and Virgil. Tom, what do you suppose the doctor meant by that?
I know what he meant. I know now, Amaryllis.
Well, go on, Tom. Finish your story.
It is finished. Or is it just begun? One last word, my friend. One word to a brother who may have come under the spell of the unquiet lady Neurasthenia.
Say on.
The formula was true, even though gropingly at times. The physicians of the walled cities have put their finger on the exact medicament.
Which is?
For the exercise, one is referred to good Dr. Tatum on Black Oak Mountain. Take the road to your right at the meeting house in the Pine Grove.
Absolute rest and exercise?
Absolute rest. What rest more remedial than to sit with Amaryllis in the shade, and with a sixth sense read the wordless Theocritan idyll of the gold-bannered Blue Mountains marching orderly into the dormitories of the night.
The world of O. Henry was a fascinating forum in which the poor and the wealthy, the sad and the gay rubbed shoulders in the most diverting fashion. Each had a story to tell. This was one of them, brought to you in the O. Henry Playhouse.
Genius is a flower of great rarity that grows in the most unlikely places. Recognition of genius is an accolade that usually becomes a posthumous award. Certainly, this is true of the man called simply O. Henry, master of the tale with a twist, and one of the greatest storytellers of all time. The O. Henry Playhouse, dramatizing some of the most diverting stories ever told.
The time? Well, let's say today. The place, Weymouthville, dreaming among the low foothills of a southern valley. Squires and bankers to Weymouthville these 200 years are the Weymouth family. Little Mr. Smithson, the messenger, has grown grey in the service of the family and the bank. He is almost exactly of an age with Master Robert, present head of both family and bank. Master Robert, Mr. Smithson, which is it to be? For only one of them can qualify for the title, Guardian of the Accolade.
Oh, confound it, Smithson.
Sorry, Master Robert, but I did knock.
Well, then next time have the goodness to wait till I say come in.
Yes, Master Robert. Sorry, sir.
Now, what the devil are you staring at? All right, I'm having a drink. Yes, in office hours, Smithson. I've had a wearing day and I felt like having a drink.
Master Robert, Master William said to tell you, sir, that Mrs. Brunton Jones is out there closing her account.
Eh?
And as Mrs. Brunton Jones has had an account here
Smithson, I'm well aware of how long the Brunton Joneses have had an account with the bank.
Yes, sir. Beg your pardon, sir.
Now, what does my brother expect me to do about it?
Master William felt, Master Robert, that if you'd come out personally and have a word with Mrs. Brunton Jones...
Personally, eh?
Oh, I'll tell Master William.
No, confound it, I'll be hanged if I'll beg. This bank is not a sinking ship, Smithson. But if Mrs. Brunton Jones or anyone else choose to regard it as such, then let 'em. Ah.
Very good, Master Robert.
And spare me your reproachful look, Smithson. Frankly, that long face of yours is enough to drive a man to drink.
Yes, sir.
Smithson, I'm sorry. But the fact is, I miss Lucy.
I know, Master Robert.
Nearly 2 years since she died, and I miss her more than ever.
Beg pardon, sir, but there's the grandchildren, sir. There's Miss Nancy, Master Guy and their mother, and there's Master William and his family, and there's...
The bank, eh? Well, let me tell you this. You may be married to the bank, Smithson. I was married to Lucy. 42 years I was married to Lucy. The bank. Ha! I'd rather go fishing. By George, yes, I'd much rather go fishing.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry, sir.
And don't sigh, Smithson. I forbid you to sigh. And if you persist in fixing me with that reproachful eye, Smithson, I'll... Oh, all right, I'll go and have a word with Mrs. Brunton Jones.
Oh, look, there's old Mr. Smithson leaving the bank.
Oh, you're not going to offer that old bore a lift.
Guy Weymouth, Mr. Smithson practically lives for our family.
I know. That's what I've got against him.
What?
Oh, well, honestly, Nance. I mean, let's face it, all that corn about the family and noblesse oblige. I don't wonder Grandpa's taken to drink.
How dare you say a thing like that?
Well, for goodness sake, Nance, everybody knows
Well,
it.
nobody's going to say it. Not in my hearing, they're not.
Good evening, Miss Nancy. Good evening, Master Guy.
Hello, Mr. Smithson. Like a lift?
Why, that's very kind of you, Miss Nancy, very kind. But I'm off to one of my meetings.
Oh, which one's that, Mr. Smithson?
The annual meeting of the Weymouthville Bird Watchers, Miss Nancy. I'm honorary treasurer, you know.
It seems to me you're honorary treasurer of just about everything.
Well, I expect it's my long association with the bank, Miss Nancy. The townsfolk look on me as, well, almost one of the family.
Big deal.
What's that, Master Guy?
Guy said that's wonderful. Didn't you, Guy?
Oh, why, yes, sure.
Oh, thank you, Master Guy. I don't need to tell a Weymouth that in these parts the family stands for honour and integrity and decency.
Hey, there's Grandpa, weaving into the Weymouthville Arms.
Oh, Mr. Smithson, can't you stop him?
Master Robert? Oh, I wouldn't dare. You know Master Robert.
I ought to. We live with him.
Very short-tempered gentleman, Master Robert.
I'm getting shorter all the time.
I wouldn't dare, Miss Nancy. You think he has a business appointment, perhaps?
You said it, with the business end of a bottle of scotch.
Master Guy.
Oh, Look, why shouldn't Grandpa tipple if he wants to?
Shh.
Well, what I mean is...
You little creep.
But at least I'm not a creepy little snob.
Snob? Who's a snob?
You are, and so is Mr. Smithson. I'm sorry, Mr. Smithson, but you really are, aren't you?
I don't think I understand you, Master Guy.
Don't even listen to him, Mr. Smithson. He'll grow up.
Oh, no, wait a minute. All I'm saying is we're us. You're you and I'm me and Mr. Smithson's Mr. Smithson and Grandpa's himself. Right?
Very illuminating, I'm sure.
Okay, we're individuals. That's all I'm saying. Nobody's better than anybody else just because they happen to be born Weymouths.
No, Master Guy, they aren't. They aren't better, but they've got to try to be.
I'm afraid that's awfully old hat, Mr. Smithson.
Well, perhaps it is, Master Guy. Being responsible for other people, that's old-fashioned too. And standards, that's old-fashioned. Setting good standards and trying to live by them.
You tell him, Mr. Smithson.
Well, you're you, Master Guy, but you're also a Weymouth. You've about 500 years of tradition.
Who, me?
Yes, you, stupid. It strikes me you've explained yourself exactly, Mr. Smithson. But we can't just duck out and act any old how? We've got obligations.
That's the word, Miss Nancy. Obligations.
If you could just kind of remind Grandpa, Mr. Smithson.
Oh, no, I couldn't, Miss Nancy. It isn't my place.
Place? Ye gods and little fishes.
Guy?
Master Robert would never forgive a liberty like that. Very short-tempered gentleman, Master Robert.
Well, all I say...
Weymouth, soaking it up in the public bar.
Yes, pity in a way. Fine old family, the Weymouths.
Oh, well, that's the way it goes, old man. They tell me the bank's on the skid.
Oh, really?
Yes, shame.
Dare they?
It's a lie about the bank. They ought to be sued.
You're darn right they should. Well, how do you like that, Nance?
Oh, keep out of this, will you?
Keep out of it? Why should I? I'm a Weymouth, aren't I? Nobody's going to talk that way about a Weymouth.
What?
Master Guy!
Well, hang it all. Well, what I mean is we've got to do something about this.
Call for you, Mr. Robert.
Oh, drat it, am I to have no peace?
It's Judge Archer on the line from Reedy Lake, Mr. Robert.
Oh, why didn't you say so in the first place? Put him through, girl. These long-distance calls cost money.
Yes, Mr. Robert, put in Judge Archer through now.
Oh, that's you, Arthur.
Is that you, Robert?
By Jove, Reedy Lake, eh? Half your luck.
The perch are rising, Robert.
Rising, are they, Arthur?
And the bass are just begging to be caught.
By Jove, Arthur. Reedy Lake, eh?
And the perch,
Yes. Sporting fish, the perch, Arthur.
second only to the bass.
By Jove, Arthur.
No need to drive down, just hop a train. I'll meet you with the car.
That's all right for you. You're retired, Arthur.
As you ought to be.
Oh, confound it, I can't, and you know it. William's well, hang it, you know, William. Young guy's still only a nipper.
You've carried it a long time, Robert.
Carried it. Made a frightful mess of it, you mean?
Well, anyway, forget all about that for a day and come on down for some fishing, man.
I can't. You don't know the half of it. Nobody knows the half of it.
Better be careful. Little phones have long ears, old man.
Confound it, I'm losing my grip. Arthur? Fact is, I miss Lucy. Not much sense in it all since Lucy went, you know.
Yes, I know. So I repeat, come on down here and relax. Reedy Lake in the season, there's nothing like it, old man.
I may have to go a whole lot further than Reedy Lake.
What's that, Robert?
I'm sorry I can't do it, Arthur. Thanks for calling. I'm in conference.
Yes? Well, I'm here, if you change your mind.
Sorry, Arthur. Thanks for calling. Reedy Lake. Some hope.
Master Robert.
Thunder and lightning, Smithson! Will you shut that confounded door?
Yes, sir.
Ah,
Yes, sir. I'm terribly sorry, sir.
I meant shut it with you on the other side.
But Master Robert, Master William...
I don't want to hear about Master William.
But he said...
I don't care what he said. Let Master William solve his own problems. Judge Arthur's right. I've carried it all too long.
But as chairman of the bank...
Smithson, I'm warning you, not another word. And don't imagine you're indispensable.
Master Robert...
Because you are not indispensable, Smithson. One more word and I'll prove it to you. Yes. All I need to say is, Smithson, you are fired.
Fired, sir?
Yeah, that's all I need to say, and by George, I'll do it if you don't get out of here.
Yes, Master Robert.
At once.
Very good, Master Robert.
Smithson? Oh, confound him. Confound all of them.
Now care lies heavily on little Mr. Smithson's thin shoulders. Mr. Smithson's small and orderly world has in fact been turned upside down. But a deeper shock awaits him as, unusually late, he leaves the annual meeting of the Sons and Daughters of the Burning Bush, of which he, of course, is honorary treasurer.
A very good meeting, Mr. Billing. Very good indeed.
Yes. Sure I can't give you a lift back to your boarding house, Mr. Smithson?
Quite, thank you. I'll walk. It's only a step or two.
Well, good night.
Yes, good night. Psst. Espresso, what's that?
Shh.
Master Guy.
I thought you'd never come out. Look, there's no time to waste, Mr. Smithson.
No time? Something's happened? Has Master Robert...
No, he's as sober as a judge. That's what worries me. Come on, I'll explain on the way.
The way to where, Master Guy?
The bank. Where else?
The bank? At this time of night?
Look, I told you there isn't much time. In fact, it might be too late already. I lost time running round to get you.
You mean there's trouble? At the bank?
Grandpa's at the bank. Or was.
But as chairman, he has every right.
He wasn't acting as if he had every right. In fact, he was quite furtive.
Furtive? Oh, dear. Go on, Master Guy.
Well, the fact is, I've been keeping an eye on Grandpa ever since... Well, since I decided an eye should be kept on him.
I see. Yes.
Well, tonight he went to bed early with only 2 glasses of port. That made me suspicious at once.
Oh, of course, yes. Master Guy...
Well, I watched. Didn't even get undressed. And about an hour ago, I heard his door open. It's right across the passage from me.
I know, Master Guy.
Smithson, he was sneaking down the stairs with a suitcase.
A suitcase?
And what's worse, he didn't take the car. He walked to the station. I followed him.
The railway station?
The railway station. And he bought a ticket.
Good heavens.
Now, the point is, there's a train to the south coast at midnight. That's in 20 minutes.
But
All right, now, here's the drill. He leaves his bag at the station and off he goes. Furtively. All round the back streets and finally to the bank. Furtively, mind you, Mr. Smithson.
But are you sure? I mean, I can't imagine Master Robert being furtive.
Exactly my point. But he was. So what's he up to?
Well, he could go into the bank for any number of reasons, of course.
Furtively?
Oh, dear.
Oh, come on, Smithson, let's go.
Yes, yes. How long since he went into the bank, Master Guy?
Not very long. I'd have sneaked in after him, but then I remembered the alarm.
Oh, bless my soul, yes, the alarm.
Well, it doesn't ring if you use a key, and I remembered you've got a key. Right, hold it. Here we are. No lights, eh? That's suspicious.
Unless he's already left, Master Guy.
Look, see that? A torch flash.
inside the bank.
Why would Master Robert use a torch in his own bank?
Search me, Smithson.
Master Guy.
Get your key, Mr. Smithson. We're going in there after him.
But what can we do?
Find out what he's up to first. Then we can decide what to do. Oh, watch your feet. Oh, it's so darn dark in here. Don't trip, Mr. Smithson.
Light. Down there. There's a light on down there.
Gosh. Isn't that the way down to the vault?
Yes. It's the vault. And look, the vault door's standing open.
So it is.
The vault. He's in the vault. Why should Master Robert go in the vault?
And furtively. Get back. He's coming out.
Oh, dear, this is dreadful.
Shh, shut up. He'll hear us. You see that, Mr. Smithson?
His briefcase. It was bulging, Master Guy.
He's rifled the vault. He's pinched the lot.
Don't say that.
Well, let's face it, you can see for yourself. He's clearing off with all the cash he can carry.
Don't say it, you hear me?
Making a getaway on the midnight train because he thinks there won't be an alarm till tomorrow. And by that time, we'll all try to cover up madly and...
No, I won't have it, Master Guy.
Well, you think I like it? I'm a Weymouth, you know.
In a manner of speaking, Oh.
By Jove, Mr. Smithson, it's as black as the ace of spades in here. You think we can find our way out?
I could find my way about the bank blindfold. 50 years I've been the bank's messenger, Master Guy. 50 years.
Yes, I know. Jolly poor show, Smithson. There he is, over there, Mr. Smithson, on the station. See?
Yes, Master Guy, I do see.
I'm scared. I mean, after all, well, hang it, what can we say to him? What I mean is, well, he's grandfather.
I'm a very short-tempered gentleman, Master Robert.
Oh, look at the time, it's almost 12. Mr. Smithson, let him go. Let him get on the train and go. There's no one to see him except Sam Brown, the station master, and he's practically decrepit.
Let him go after rifling the vault, and him a Weymouth?
Well, there's nothing we can do. He'd just get angry, and you know how angry. He'll deny it, and then we're witnesses, and... Oh, let's go home, Mr. Smithson.
You go home, Master Guy.
Me?
Yes, you go on home and go to bed.
But
you're to forget you ever saw all this. Understand, Master Guy?
But, Mr. Smithson...
I've no time to be standing about arguing with you, Master Guy. You do as you're told now.
Well, I'll be blowed, Mr. Smithson. You just sound like grandfather.
Did you hear me? I said get along now, and leave this to me.
Confound it, who's that?
Evening, Master Robert.
Evening? It's midnight. That you, Smithson?
Yes, sir. That's who it is, sir.
What the devil are you doing on the station at this hour of the night?
Oh, just passing, Master Robert.
Eh? Ah, ridiculous. You'd better get home out of the night air, Smithson. You'll hardly be worth killing tomorrow on account of your rheumatism.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. That briefcase, Master Robert.
Eh? What's that?
It should be a clear day tomorrow, Master Robert. The sun was very red this evening.
Go home, Smithson. Go home.
Master Robert. Master Robert, do you remember nearly 40 years ago the tournament at the Grange?
Tournament?
You won in the riding and you crowned Miss Lucy your queen.
Oh,
Miss Lucy touched you on the shoulder, sir, with a sword, and she said, I make you a knight, Sir Robert. She said, rise up, pure and fearless and without reproach. Miss Lucy said something like that, sir. And then there's the other time when Miss Lucy lay on her last bed and she sent for me, sir, and she said, Smithson, I want you to take care of Master Robert.
Now, look here, Smithson.
He's apt, she said, to be fractious and short-tempered at times, and perhaps he'll curse at you when you try to persuade him, and he needs somebody round who understands him. He's like a child sometimes, Miss Lucy said, but he's always been... These were the last words she ever said to me. He's always been my knight. Pure and fearless and beyond reproach.
You old windbag. Lucy said that, did she? And we haven't kept the scutcheon any too clear, have we?
The train, sir. It's due any minute.
Go on home, confound it. And take your hands off my briefcase.
Please don't take it with you, Master Robert.
By the Lord Harry Smithson.
Please don't, sir. I know what's in it. I know where you got it, in the bank.
Oh, confound you, Smithson. That train only stops here for a second or so.
Don't take it, sir. There's trouble in it. Big trouble, sir, for you and Miss Lucy's children. Fire me and curse at me, but don't destroy the good name of Weymouth. Don't take this briefcase with you.
Let go, Smithson. You hear me?
No, sir.
Smithson, you have overstepped all bounds. All bounds, you hear me?
I know, sir.
You have presumed upon a long intimacy with my family to meddle unpardonably.
I know, sir.
So you know what is in this briefcase. Your long and faithful service is some excuse, but go home, Smithson. Not another word.
No, I won't, sir. I won't. Give it to me. I'm going to have it. I'm going to take it straight back to the bank and lock it in the vault.
Smithson!
Let it go, sir.
Smithson, will you let go of this?
Hurry on there, please.
Smithson, for the last time.
For the very last time, sir. I'm taking it back to the bank. Sorry, sir.
Very well, Smithson. You win. Now let the subject drop. Understand? You've said quite enough. More than enough. Not another word. Understand?
Not another word, sir.
Well, Robert, this is splendid. Simply splendid.
You got my telegram? Good. Now for some good fishing.
Car's over there. I'll give you a hand with your case.
No, it's all right. I can manage.
Got the stuff in there?
No, confound it. I'm afraid not.
What?
Fact is, old Smithson came down to the station and vetoed the whole proceeding.
Smithson? You mean your messenger?
Well, he's rather more than that. The old fellow means all right. Well, I'm thinking he is right. Somehow he found out what I had in my briefcase, though I hid it in the bank vault and sneaked it out at practically midnight.
Good heavens.
Yeah. Fact is, I've been indulging a little more than a gentleman should, and he laid in wait for me with some rather convincing arguments.
Good grief, the devil he did.
Arthur, I've decided I'm going to give up drinking. Man can't keep it up and be quite what he'd like to be, and as Lucy would say, well,
I have to admit Smithson's arguments can't be conscientiously overruled. You were hitting that bottle a little hard, you know.
Still, there were 2 bottles of the finest old silk velvet scotch in that briefcase you ever wet your lips with.
Silk velvety?
Yeah. I wonder what Smithson will do with it.
The world of O. Henry was a fascinating forum in which the poor and the wealthy, the sad and the gay rubbed shoulders in the most diverting fashion. Each had a story to tell. This was one of them, brought to you in the O. Henry Playhouse.
Genius is a flower of great rarity that grows in the most unlikely places. Recognition of genius is an accolade that usually becomes a posthumous award. Certainly, this is true of the man called simply O. Henry, master of the tale with a twist, and one of the greatest storytellers of all time. The O. Henry Playhouse, dramatizing some of the most diverting stories ever told.
I must say he impressed me at once. And why not? He had an air of being familiar with hemispheres and worlds, and of entering London as the lord of a domain who visited it after years of absence. He was the ugliest man I had ever seen. When he sat down beside me and began to talk, I perceived in him a certain power. His voice was a persuasive instrument upon which he played with a somewhat specious but effective art. He didn't try to make you forget his ugliness. He flaunted it in your face and made it part of the charm of his remarkable speech. I shall call the man Judson Tate, and the story, The Ugliest Man in England.
I repeat, sir, women are mysterious creatures.
Oh, come, Mr. Tate, I expected better of you, even on such short acquaintance.
Have another drink.
Women are mysterious? That time-worn, bold, feeble, patent sophistry originated by women, spread by women, ingeniously promulgated into the ears of mankind by women for the sole purpose of augmenting, furthering, and reinforcing their own charms and designs. I don't mind if I do.
Good. I hope to substantiate my viewpoint and allay your disappointment. Tell me, have you ever heard of San Christos?
San Christos?
Cheers.
Oh, yes, cheers.
San Christos is a town in Spain. It was in San Christos that a great life drama was played, with Judson Tate, the ugliest man in England, and Fergus MacMahon, the handsomest adventurer in history or fiction, and Senorita Annabella Zamora, the beautiful daughter of the alcalde of San Christos, as chief actors.
Fascinating. You have secured my interest, Mr. Tate.
I am gratified to hear it.
Another drink?
I don't mind if I do. Now, sir, as you observe, I am about the ugliest man you ever saw outside of the gallery of photographs of Neanderthal man.
Oh, come, sir.
I insist, sir. Cheers.
Oh, yes, cheers.
Now, you wouldn't think women would fancy a man with a face like mine, would you?
Oh, my dear Mr. Tate, history is bright and fiction dull with homely men who have charmed women. It seems...
Forgive me, you have yet to hear my story.
Oh, forgive me. I'm all attention. The fact is, I'm always interested in psychological studies. A woman's heart...
Fergus and I were in San Christos together on a holiday. Now, for a handsome man, I'll admit Fergus was the duty-free merchandise. They said he was a ringer for the statue of Hermes, the god of speech and eloquence. But Fergus was no talker. He was brought up with the idea that to be beautiful was to make good. His conversation was about as edifying as a leak dropping into a tin dish at the head of the bed when you want to go to sleep. Yet we were friends. Opposites, do you think?
Oh, yes, possibly.
Yes.
No, I think...
Looking at the caricature I call my face seemed to give Fergus pleasure. And I'm sure that whenever I heard the feeble output of throat noises that he called conversation, I was content to be a gargoyle with a silver tongue. Well, to San Christos.
Judson! Oh, Judson, there's an angel in San Christos.
Well, so long as it isn't Gabriel, why talk as if you'd heard a trumpet blow?
It's the Senorita Annabella Zamora, the alcade's daughter. I saw her this afternoon driving in the plaza.
You spend too much time in the plaza.
No, you don't spend enough. Judson, she's as lovely as the devil.
Bravo, my eloquent Fergus. You remind me of Faust's wooing of Marguerite. That is, if he wooed her after he went down the trapdoor.
Judson, listen. I'm completely gone on Senorita Annabella.
Stirring words, Fergus.
Oh, do give over. Judson, you know you're as beautiless as a rhinoceros. That's why I'm telling you.
Telling me?
Judson, I want you to help me.
Help you to what?
Why, to land Senorita Annabella, of course. Oh, I admit my shortcomings on the talking side.
As well you may.
But, Judd, I've subsidized the services of the Senorita's duenna. She's called Francesca.
Well,
Judson, you can talk. You've got a big reputation in that direction.
I have, and I deserve it.
And I am the best-looking man between the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic ice pack.
With limitations as to physiognomy and geography, I freely concede you.
Well, between the two of us, we ought to be able to land the Senorita Annabella Zamora.
Land her for which one of us?
What? Oh, me, of course. You've never seen her.
Explain your arrangements.
Judson, you know how it is with these old Spanish families. Well, she's...
Unapproachable as a star?
Yes, unapproachable as a star. Oh, Eureka, with your smooth tongue and my good looks combined in one man, how can she resist him? Can any girl want more?
And can she do with less? How can we separate our mutual attraction, and how shall we apportion the proceeds?
You mean you'll do it?
You little lily-white, fine-haired, highly polished piece of dumb sculpture. I will help you.
Why, Judson, you're a brick. A perfect brick.
All you have to do is tell me how.
Buena, Francesca.
All is arranged, senor. Bring your friend into the patio.
Right. Judson, keep your face hid. For heaven's sake, keep your face hid.
Confound it, this sombrero.
Judson, I'm a friend of yours, but this is a business deal. If I could talk, I wouldn't ask you.
Get me into the dark outside the lady's window, and my stream of conversation opened up with the moonlight tremolo stop turned on, and she is yours.
Francesca.
Senor?
You pointed me out to the Senorita Annabella in the plaza this afternoon.
Si, senor.
By name?
Si, senor. I say Senor Fergus McMahon.
Judson, keep the collar of your coat high and that sombrero low. And keep that face hid.
This way, senor.
I'll go to it. Seeing me and listening to you, I don't see why she can't be landed.
By you.
By me. Now go do it.
Senorita, my fair white shadow behind cruel bars. Senorita,
Someone calls?
it is I, Fergus McMahon, most abject, most idolatrous of slaves to the exquisite Senorita Annabella.
See, someone calls.
Goddess, Senorita, ah, moon of my delight that knows no way.
Softly, senor. My father, the alcalde, is within.
Would that my star, the loveliest of women, were without.
Senor, I should not listen, but I listen.
Ah, soft. What light through yonder window break? And then she threw me this.
A rose. Oh, a big red rose. Success. 1 hour of my talk and she gives me a rose.
1 hour of my talk.
Well, you forget. I'm the one she saw in the plaza.
I'd like to see you trying to make a hit with her in the dark. All your beauty invisible and not a word to say for yourself.
1 hour. 1 hour and she gives me a rose. Wait till I've been wooing her for a week.
One word, senorita, before my heart breaks. 1 word of love.
Senor Fergus, I dare not.
Beloved.
I dare not. My father, the alcalde.
Beloved, speak 1 word of love, 1 word of hope, and I shall dare all to make you mine. I shall dare.
See?
Your father, the alcalde.
Senor.
Speak, incomparable one.
Senor, it is true.
See.
That each afternoon in the plaza.
Ah, see.
I watch for you, and I think.
See.
That you are very pretty, senor.
The devil. That is. Say on, my divine one. Give me 1 word of hope that your heart is mine. Her heart is mine. Ours. She put her hand between the bars to kiss.
What did you do?
I kissed it.
You might have left that for me to do.
Well, that will be your job hereafter. Take my advice, keep on doing that, Fergus, and don't try to talk.
I won't.
Perhaps after she thinks she's in love, she won't notice the difference between real conversation and the inarticulate sort of droning you give out with.
Believe me, she won't even care. Well, thanks, Judson. Thanks awfully. Tomorrow...
Well?
Tomorrow I'll take things a step further in the plaza.
Well, I wish you luck.
I say, Judson, just for once, why don't you come along?
To the plaza?
Yes.
Well, you know how it is, Fergus. The children and dogs take the mangrove swamps when they see this face of mine.
They come out again, Judson. Besides, don't you want to see her?
After making love to her for 3 weeks, I admit I'm curious.
Come along then and see. Without being seen. Here she comes. Look, Judson, the one in white in the open carriage with the black horse.
That is Senorita Annabella.
Who else? See, I'll raise my hat. In San Christos, that's tantamount to a public declaration. Judson, did you see that sidelong glance she gave me? It's true, she loves me. She's mine. Well, and what did you think of her?
Of Senorita Annabella.
See, well, I mean, yes. What did you think of her?
I think she is to be Mrs. Judson Tate.
What? Well, you old dough-face. Struck too, are you? Yeah, well, you're too late. Of course, I'm awfully grateful to you for deputizing for me, but, you know, I've an idea. I could have done it just as well myself.
Mrs. Judson Tate. I don't do the dirty on a friend, so take your word.
Oh, Judson.
Mrs. Judson Tate, I said. Mrs. Judson Tate, I mean. You've had the use of my tongue to go with your good looks, my boy.
Well, I can't lend you my good looks.
No, but hereafter, my tongue is my own. So remember, you have been warned. I stepped into the ballroom with a new white linen suit and a masterful air. Some of the musicians jumped off key when they saw my face, but I am used to that.
Oh, now you're far too
Senorita Annabella, whirling in white with pearls and fireflies in her midnight hair, nearly dropped her fan when she saw my face. But I am used to that. At the end of the room, Fergus tried to break away from 2 macaroons and a fat senorita, while I strode up to Alcade Zamora. Buenas noches, magnifico.
Buenas noches, senor.
I am Judson Tate.
To be sure I know of you, senor.
I have the honor to present the greetings of the great English nation to the great little town of San Christos, magnifico.
Senor, the town of San Christos returns the greetings of the great English nation with mucho thanks.
Senor Alcade, I hear much of the beauty of your daughter.
Si, my Annabella. Beautiful.
It would give me great pleasure to be presented to her.
It would give me great pleasure to present my daughter to the representative of the great English nation.
My thanks, Senor Alcade.
Mucho thanks, Senor English. Annabella! Chica! Annabella!
You got Papa. Oh.
Annabella, you see a mouse?
No, Papa, I see. Oh, forgive me, Papa.
Annabella, I am presenting to you the most great and distinguished Senor Tate.
I am honored, Senor.
I am ravished, Senorita.
Annabella, what is ailing you this night, Chiquita?
Forgive me, Papa, but I thought... that voice... Oh...
The voice, Annabella?
Forgive me, Papa, I am so confused.
I am thinking you are looking confused, Chiquita. When you danced before with the Senor Fergus McMahon.
Oh, Papa, I am feeling confused when I dance with the Senor Fergus. His voice...
Si, Senorita.
Forgive me, Senor, I am very confused.
Magnifico. Senor Alcade, may I have the honor of dancing with the Senorita Annabella?
Of course. If you wish it, Chiquita.
Senor Fergus has already...
Mucho thanks, Senorita Annabella. Shall we dance? On we danced, while her night black eyes grew bigger than alligator pears. She couldn't strike a balance between the tones of my voice and the face I carried. But I kept on talking in the key of C, which is the lady's key.
The key?
I set my voice to poetry, art, romance, flowers, and moonlight. I repeated some of the verses I had murmured to her in the dark at her window, and I knew from the soft sparkle in her eyes that she knew me for her midnight wooer. Before the dance was over, I had permission to come to her window in the patio the next evening and talk some more. Oh, it was easy enough.
You mean... I don't believe you.
Ah, Fergus. The vocal is the true art, no doubt about it. Handsome is as handsome palavers.
Well, talk might be all right in its place, Judd, but to expect to back it up a face like yours in a lady's good graces is like... Well, it's like,
Well,
like expecting a man to make a square meal on the ringing of a dinner bell.
I tell you, she is going to marry me.
Oh, you hope.
I know it. And the alcalde is all for it. I am being allowed to call.
To call?
I am an official suitor.
What?
Less romantic than midnight in the patio, but more...
Caught a cold?
Oh, nothing to speak of. I tell you, she looks at my rugged features now without fear or repugnance.
She does.
All she wants is to have me tell her that she is a trust, monopolizing all the loveliness on earth, that she is a gazelle, a tea rose, that her eyes are softer and brighter than 2 quarts of cream skimmed off the Milky Way, that...
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Judson, I'm not the kind to do the dirty on a friend, my friend, so I'm warning you. I've just begun to fight.
Senor, you have come to court, see? Calm. My daughter, she is waiting with her duenna. Go in. Go so tight.
Thank you.
Go in. My daughter is waiting, see?
Good evening, senor.
Oh, good evening, senorita.
Please, you will sit, see?
See. Ah, divine one, incomparable one. You are trust, monopolizing all love.
See?
Oh!
Senor! What has happened to your so wonderful voice, senor? Francesca! The senor has lost his so wonderful voice.
Senor, wake up. It is I, the alcalde. Senor, rise from your sickbed. They have run away. My Annabella and the Senor Fergus MacMahon. It is known they have fled in a sailing yacht and are bound for El Paso. How long ago? Oh, almost certainly some 7 hours, senor. Senor, you will follow them. I was sure I could count on the representative of the great English people. Senor, you will pursue them in the loan show, which belongs to the Department of Revenue. I, the alcalde, have arranged it. You will persuade my daughter to return with you, see? See, the voice. I go. I will return, senor. Be upstanding. Dress yourself. I will return. Here, senor. The medicament. Take 1 small swiggo every 2 hours. Here, what is it? Oh, senor. In this small bottle is a simple liquid made from the rare chuchula plant. Come, drink. Drink? Bueno. Every 2 hours. Now, go, senor, and may good fortune go with you.
So I steamed into El Paso port 13 seconds behind the yacht on which Fergus and my Annabella were fleeing.
Well, you made good time.
They started for the shore in a dory just as my skiff was lowered over the side. I tried. How I tried to order my sailormen to row faster. But the sounds died in my larynx before they came to the light.
Oh, yes, quite a predicament.
Then I thought of the alcalde's medicine, got out the little bottle, and took a swiggo. The two boats landed. Almost at the same moment, I leapt out. I ran towards my beloved, and I saw her shrink away into the arms of the godlike Fergus.
Fergus! Oh, Fergus, save me!
I'll do that, my love. Now look, Judd, all's fair, etc. I told you I'd win, and I've won, fair and square. Annabella is mine.
Oh, not yet. Not yet. Senorita Annabella, may I speak with you aside for a moment?
Oh, give up, Judd, will you?
Annabella, my bulbul, my gazelle, my tea rose, my moon of all delight.
Give over.
A moment is all I ask, Annabella. One moment in annihilation's wake, one moment of the well of life to take.
Judd!
Annabella.
Fergus, you will excuse me just for one moment, see?
No.
See. Come aside, Annabella.
See.
Oh, now look, Judd. Fair.
Annabella, fairest of flowers.
Oh, Judson.
Queen among women, star of stars.
Oh, when you are talking to me, I can hear nothing else. I can see nothing else. There is nothing and nobody else in all the world.
Come back to San Cristo.
See.
Become Mrs. Judson Tate, and hear my words of love forever.
See.
Oh.
And you married Senorita Annabella?
Of course. Has my story bored you?
Oh, indeed, no. I'm always interested in the psychological studies. A human heart, especially woman's, is a wonderful thing to contemplate.
It is. And so are the trachea and bronchial tubes of man. Did you ever make a study of the windpipe?
Never. May I ask after the present health of Mrs. Tate?
She is blooming. I don't suppose you ever dissected the arytenoid cartilages of the epiglottis, did you?
No, I'm no surgeon. And what happened to Fergus?
I've no idea. I never saw him again. Are you aware that a sudden cold may set up capillary bronchitis or inflammation of the pulmonary vesicles, which may result in a serious affection of the vocal organs?
Well, if so, that is neither here nor there. Speaking of the strange manifestations of the affections of women, I myself...
Yes, they do have peculiar ways, but as I was going to tell you, when I went back to San Cristos, I investigated the mixture which gave me back my lost voice. You'll recall how quickly it cured me.
Yes.
Now look here. For any cough or cold or hoarseness or bronchial infection whatsoever, I have here the greatest remedy in the world. You see the formula printed here on the box, including fluid extract of chachula, a 1/10 minim.
Yes.
I am in London for the purpose of organizing a company to market the greatest remedy for throat affections ever discovered.
Good day, Mr. Tate.
My dear sir, I assure you that I am bestowing on you the opportunity of a lifetime.
Good day, Mr. Tate.
To participate in the marketing of Tate's compound magic chachula bronchial lozenges.
Mr. Tate.
I have here a box of 1,000.
What more is there to say? My feelings were lacerated. The ugly man had poured gently upon me a story which had stirred me. And at the last it had proved to be a commercial pill deftly coated with the sugar of fiction. You must judge for yourself. And anyone care to buy 18 dozen of Tate's compound magic chachula bronchial lozenges? Cut rate?
The world of O. Henry was a fascinating forum in which the poor and the wealthy, the sad and the gay rubbed shoulders in the most diverting fashion. Each had a story to tell. This was one of them, brought to you in the O. Henry Playhouse.
Genius is a flower of great rarity that grows in the most unlikely places. Recognition of genius is an accolade that usually becomes a posthumous award. Certainly, this is true of the man called simply O. Henry, master of the tale with a twist, and one of the greatest storytellers of all time. The the O. Henry Playhouse, dramatizing some of the most diverting stories ever told.
O. Henry has been called the master with the greatest understanding of human nature. And seldom has this been more manifest than in his stories about the colourful, vocal, and at times stubbornly errant Irish. Take, for instance, his story of an unusual young woman, Maggie Toole, which he called The Coming Out of Maggie. Every Saturday night, the Cloverleaf Social Club ran a dance in the hall of the Give and Take Athletic Association. No one was admitted unless he was a member, and no female was admitted unless she had an escort. But of course the rules were bent a bit now and then, for a few favoured members. Jimmy Burns, for instance, and his sweetheart Annie McCarthy, and their mutual friend Maggie Toole. All three had not missed a Saturday night dance since the club had opened. Jimmy Burns gallantly escorted Annie and Maggie together. Some closed their eyes to it, others objected.
Pass the pickles. To blazes with them pickles while I'm speaking. Kirby, if you don't pass them pickles... All right, Michael. Take him, and I hope the vinegar's too strong. Now, it's the principle of this thing, ain't it, Phil?
Yes, Kirby.
Principle, you're lying in your teeth, Kirby. Careful, Michael Grady, you'll have no teeth.
Look, we've got half an hour to eat our lunch, and most of the time's near gone.
Well, can't you get your mind off your stomach?
I am, and I have. I'm saying time's restricted here at the paper box factory, and it's no place for deciding what is rules and what is not rules at the Give and Take Club on a Saturday night. Do you agree, Phil?
I do, Mike, I do. I am president of the social club, I am. And I know the rules. And I say Maggie O'Toole has got to stop coming to the hop with Jimmy Burns and Annie McCarthy.
Why now? Why has Maggie got to do that?
Because of the rules, man. One escort only for one lady only, not two ladies. And plain as the nose in a leathery face, that means that Jimmy Burns can't escort Annie and Maggie at the same time.
He's been doing it 2 years. It's all to his credit. Maggie hasn't got a fella, so she can't get into the club unless Jimmy escorts her. Now, what's wrong with that? Can you see wrong, Phil Crady?
No, Mike, I can't.
He can't, and neither can I.
Then you ain't Irish.
Oh, I ain't? By Galway, what am I, Scots, Frenchman? What's this half-moon face if it ain't Irish?
We're losing the point of the argument.
Now, ain't that Irish too?
Now, listen, Michael.
And why shouldn't
you listen before I bust you on? I'm saying Maggie Toole has got to be stopped. I'm saying no self-respecting Irish girl tags along with Annie and Jimmy 2 years, slips into the hop and slips out again, and never a glance right or left, never a bit of a flutter does she give the eligible, fine, upstanding Irish bachelor members. Now, is that right? Ain't marriage an institution? Ain't Maggie ready for that institution?
Well, Kirby, if you're putting it like that...
I am. That's what I'm saying. There's principles involved.
Now, you hold on, Kirby. I've heard enough. You leave Maggie alone. By heavens, let her take her time and find a fellow for herself without you pushing her. I won't have it. I won't, do you hear?
Well, what's this? The quiet boy of the paper box factory wouldn't say a boo to man or boy. Suddenly ups and gets his paddy up. I never thought I'd hear the like from you.
Oh, pipe down. And I'm telling you to leave Maggie alone. She's a wonderful girl.
Oh, we're right behind you.
A wonderful girl.
Well, that she is. Haven't I been saying so, Michael, in so many words?
In so many words, you've been making trouble for her. But, Phil here, Phil Crady, did you ever see a man declare himself so sudden? A real dark horse, begotter. Who'd have thought he was sweet on Maggie?
Who'd have thought? You know, Michael, perhaps he's just the fellow for Maggie.
Ah, but he just stands around at the dances. I've seen him like a shy boy. And when Maggie looks at him, he turns red and awkward. No, he'd never have the courage to be Maggie's fella.
Well, he might, if he was pushed into it, so to speak.
And tell me, how would you go pushing him, Kirby?
Now, it's a funny thing you should ask, because a thought has just crossed me mind. If you're willing to listen, I'm willing to go all the way. Mind you, we'll need help from your own good woman and mine as well. Our wives.
Oh, I don't know, Kirby. I don't like bringing the women into any business of ours. They have a right and proper place, and it isn't meddling in our affairs.
Ah, but they have weapons, their tongues, and they have wires, and a wonderful ability for matchmaking. Listen now.
Pass the pickles again, and then maybe I'll be listening.
Annie! Annie McCarthy, are you there?
Yes, I am, Mrs. Kirby. Just doing up my hair. Do you like it?
Oh, it is pretty. It's lovely.
Jimmy likes it this way.
And I suppose Jimmy's taking you to the Give and Take Club tonight.
Of course. It's Saturday night. You know we haven't missed a dance.
For 2 years, I know. I also know you're a foundation member.
Oh, that we are. Fancy you knowing. How did you know?
Oh, since Kirby's a big man at the Give and Take. Well, I keep informed about the club and its members. In the best possible taste, of course.
I should hope so, Mrs. Kirby.
Aye, Mrs. Grady and me was only saying that this afternoon. We were saying everything about the club was in the best possible taste and according to the best possible Irish principles, except...
Yes?
Except one thing.
And what's that now?
Well, Mrs. Grady was saying that her husband said Maggie's been breaking the rules at the club.
Maggie has? Oh, don't be silly. Maggie's a dear, sweet girl. Besides, she's my dearest friend, and I won't hear anything against her. She's so quiet and polite, never speaks out of turn. Why, Jimmy says it's a pleasure to take her with us to the club every Saturday.
Oh, sure it is, sure. But taking her, that's the trouble.
Why, what do you mean now?
It's not giving her a chance, Annie dear. She goes with you and Jimmy, and she comes home with you and Jimmy.
And what's wrong with that, may I ask?
It's time she had a fella of her own.
Oh, I see. Yes, you're right.
Yes, I am.
In fact, Jimmy said the same thing himself.
Has he now?
Yes. Oh, it's not that he's tired of Maggie going with us every Saturday, but...
She cramps your style, eh?
Oh, no.
You can't have Jimmy to yourself.
No. Well, yes. Yes, that's it. We've been courting 4 years now, and for 2 of them every Saturday night. Well, Maggie just sits on with us and leaves when Jimmy leaves and goes down the hall to her bed as though Jimmy is a sort of partnership between us. Oh, I wish she'd get a fellow of her own.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. It takes a lot off my mind, I can tell you. I mean, I feel right with myself over what I'm about to do.
And what's that?
Force Maggie to a coming out. Make her find a fellow of her own.
Oh, you'll never do that, Mrs. Kirby. She's far too shy and quiet.
Annie, even the shyest and the quietest can be roused.
Why, Mrs. Kirby.
Oh, no, now, I didn't mean... Oh, but, just come on down the hall to Maggie's room and you'll see what I have in mind. So we were sort of hoping that you would understand, Maggie.
Well, how can I understand when you're talking round the point all the time?
Well, it's about the club.
The Give and Take?
What else? What other club is there on Saturday night?
I'm sure I don't know.
Maggie, darling, we're trying to break it to you gently.
Break what to me?
About every one of our sex who goes to the club has to have an escort.
Well, I have Jimmy.
But he's my fellow, Maggie.
Oh, but he always takes both of us.
He has done, and now that must change.
Why?
It's against the rules.
The rules?
I'm here to tell you on behalf of my husband and all the committee of the Give and Take, you can't go to the hop unless you have an escort of your own.
Since when?
Since now.
Gospel?
Gospel.
Annie, you're my friend. Haven't you something to say about this?
I can't argue with an important member like Michael Kirby, can I?
You won't stand up for him.
I can't.
Oh, yes, you can, but you won't.
Now, there's no sense getting all excited.
Oh, yes, there is. I see it all now. Just because Annie and Jimmy have been courting for 4 years, they think it's time they got serious and they don't want me. I'm in the way.
No, Maggie, you mustn't.
Now, Annie, let's be firm. It's the only way. She might as well face up to it now. It'll help her. Yes, Maggie. What you've just said is true. Annie and Jimmy want to be alone. So you can't go to the Give and Take unless you find yourself a fella.
Oh, Annie, how could you?
Now, don't you worry yourself about how she could. She has. and you don't know how well off you are. Oh, my dear, I hear young Phil Crady's unattached. I hear he's been asking over at the paper box factory, is Maggie Toole going to the dance Saturday night? Is Maggie Toole this and is Maggie Toole that? Oh, it's a clear case of love, I'd say. And Phil's a nice fella.
Stop it, that's enough. I won't have another word. It's not decent you mating me without hearing what I have to say. And I'll say me say and more. Phil Creedy, indeed. I've seen him. I've seen him standing against the wall at the give and take every Saturday night just eyeing me off. And turning red in the face every time I so much as look back at him. Now, what kind of man is that? I tell you, when I'm ready for cotton, I'll pick a red-blooded fellow.
Why, Maggie!
And I'm coming out when I want to come
Maggie.
out. When Phil Creed is a man, I'll be a woman. Now get out, both of you. Go on, go leave me alone.
What? Come on, Annie. Well, I never. And we always thought Maggie was shy and quiet. Red-blooded man indeed. May the saints preserve us.
A gloom hung over the living room of the Kirby apartment. Kirby brooding with his elbows on the table. Young Phil Creedy staring at nothing, and Molly and Annie exchanging knowing glances, but not daring to repeat what they had seen and heard in Maggie's room. Molly simply said that Maggie had accepted the edict that unless she had an escort, she could no longer attend the Saturday night hop at the Give and Take Club. Then, being Irish as well as a woman, Molly turned suddenly to her husband and said,
Kirby, it's all you're doing.
What is?
This entanglement.
My doing me foot. It's the rules of the club.
The rules? Where's the Irishman alive who doesn't bend the rules, whatever they are and wherever they are? Now see what you've done. You've broken up a friendship between Annie and Maggie, and you're breaking poor Maggie's heart.
Oh, no, Molly, it's not that bad. I'll admit Maggie doesn't want to go to the hop with Phil here, but then she might still find a fellow.
Oh, no, she won't.
Oh, now, Phil, lad.
She won't, I tell you.
There's a lot of fish in the ocean.
Fish in the ocean, pebbles on the beach. There's only one. Maggie Toole.
Then try telling her, not me. Go on, try it. Maybe she'll listen. After all, you're Irish, ain't you? You can talk, can't you?
Wait a minute, Kirby. The poor sweet boy can't put himself in that position.
What position? What are you talking about now?
Humiliating himself.
Oh, so he'd be humiliating himself calling on Maggie, would he? Well, look at him now. Have you ever seen anything more miserable and pathetic? He couldn't feel worse. Could you, Phil?
No. Oh, if only Maggie would give me a chance. Just go to the dance with me once. Well, I know I'm no prize, and my knees turn to jelly every time I look at Maggie, but... Oh, Mrs. Kirby, what did she say about me?
Oh, well, nothing really. No, not as I recall. Did she, Annie?
Oh, no, nothing as I recall either.
Oh, what a couple of twisters you are.
Maggie.
I'm not going to apologise for walking into your house like this, Mrs. Kirby, because you're a hypocrite if you're polite to your enemies.
No, Maggie girl, take it easy.
You and your rules. And trying to matchmate between me and Phil Creedy here.
All right, I'll admit it.
Please, Kirby.
Oh, stand up and say your piece, Phil.
Yes, why don't you? Well, go on.
Well, I Maggie, I...
See, what did I tell you, Mrs. Kirby? No red blood.
No red blood?
Exactly. And if I'm coming out...
For mercy's sake, Maggie, naughty.
Well, I am coming out. I'm coming out tonight. I've just talked with a fellow I know and admire. He works on the next block, drives a truck for Mr. Harris. And he's a man. A good-looking fellow. Dark with a dark moustache and big black eyes. Irish as Irish.
He doesn't sound it at all. What's his name?
As if I'd be telling you.
Oh, go on, Maggie, tell us.
Harris has a lot of Italians working for him.
Italians? Me Irish with an Italian fellow? His name's O'Sullivan, and what's more Irish than that?
Terry O'Sullivan.
No, Brian O'Sullivan. And Brian is escorting me to the Give and Take tonight.
Why, Maggie, dear, that's wonderful news. A fella all your own. Well, there's nothing more to say, is there now?
Oh, yes, there is. I'm telling you once and for all, no one in the Give and Take or over at the paper box factory is going to pick my future for me. And no one's going to stop me going to the dance. And in future, Mr. Kirby, I'll thank you to keep your rules where you keep your Sunday newspaper. Rules, indeed.
Oh,
Something tells me it's not all over yet.
You know, I think I know everyone for miles around, but I can't place any Brian O'Sullivan who's dark with dark eyes and a moustache.
I can't either. Can you, Phil?
No.
It seems to me this fellow came along too pat. And it seems to me a fellow with dark hair and dark eyes and a moustache is more likely to be Italian than Irish. O'Sullivan, eh? We'll see.
Now, Kirby, you've caused enough trouble. From now on, mind your own affairs.
But, Molly, darling, Phil's a lad for Maggie, isn't he now?
Well, we think so, but...
But Maggie doesn't, eh? Well, perhaps we can turn a defeat into a victory after all. Yes, and there'll be some give and take at the club tonight. Oh, thank you, me love. That was breathtaking, but I'm thirsty. Kirby?
Yes?
How about some refreshments? Well, Michael, I wouldn't be drinking too much.
And when could you be drinking too much?
And I'm watching for a certain Brian O'Sullivan to arrive with Maggie.
Perhaps Maggie's not coming at all.
Well, she'd better come after all the plotting and planning we've done to make Phil a fellow.
Hello, Mr. Kirby. Where's Phil?
Don't you go worrying, Annie. The lad knows what to do when the time comes.
Are you sure it'll be all right?
Sure, I'm sure. Why, Annie, I know the difference between an Irishman and an Italian, and that's exactly what I'm counting on. That is, if this so-called Brian O'Sullivan shows up.
Oh, there's Maggie.
Where?
Just coming in the door.
Yes, so she is. Ah, and what a picture she makes. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes, she is.
Never mind Maggie. Just take a look at the creature stepping up to her side.
Brian O'Sullivan, no less.
O'Sullivan, my eye. If he's no Sullivan, I'm a MacPherson. Look at him. Italian, if ever I saw one.
Red-blooded.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Perhaps you'd better forget about the whole thing.
I will not, will you, Michael?
I will not. But I'd like some refreshments.
Later. They're coming over here bold as you please. O'Sullivan, indeed.
Hello, Maggie.
Hello, Annie. Mr. Kirby.
Hello.
Mr. Grady.
Who's your friend?
Brian O'Sullivan. Who else?
He is.
I am.
Native born and bred.
I am.
You don't talk up for an Irishman.
I don't.
That's a virtue.
Is it now, Maggie?
It is. And now, if you'll excuse us, we'll be getting over to a table.
Yes, excuse.
No, wait a minute.
Maggie, there's something I want to see you about. It won't take a minute. Could we go over to the restroom?
Well, I suppose so, but...
Brian doesn't mind, do you, Brian?
No.
Come on, Maggie.
I won't be a minute, Brian.
You know what a minute is with the ladies, eh, O'Sullivan? We got time to down one. Come on, Mike.
I'm dry.
There's some good Irish whiskey at the bar, O'Sullivan. Nothing like a drop, eh?
No. No, not really.
Oh, be off with you, me boy. Of course you want one. Come on. Oh, there. O'Sullivan's got a frog in his throat, Michael.
Sure he has. Thump his back.
I will that. Now, O'Sullivan, another drink to set you right.
No, no more, thanks.
One drink for an Irishman?
I'll be getting back to Maggie.
Oh, take your time, man. Take your time. Maggie's no one special.
I came to dance with her, not to drink.
Well, such gallantry. It's foreign to us, don't you think, Kirby?
Yes, I do.
Like the Continentals or the Italians, eh?
Sure it is.
Mind you, they're smooth with their women, but when it comes to a man's company, they're no good with their fists. Are they now?
Cowards. Treacherous.
I'll be getting back.
They use knives.
Sure. They're snaky.
Now, you listen to me. Yeah, what's that? What's that?
And O'Sullivan is asking about that. They're just the boys letting down the hair on Saturday night and giving each other a few friendly pats. Why, it's an Irish tradition.
It's very bad behaviour. Excuse me, I'm going back to Maggie.
Well, Michael, was I right?
You were.
Italian?
The snakes will come back to Ireland if he ain't. Coughed over his whiskey and rolled his eyes when some of the lads swung a few punches.
And did you see the way he bristled when we talked of Italians and knives?
I did.
Then we'll go ahead and act according to plan. Go on, find Phil Creedy and tell him to be ready.
You think it'll work, Kirby?
Michael, if it doesn't, Maggie Toole isn't Irish. Who shoved me?
Oh, now, Kirby, you've got to expect some pushing and shoving at a dance like this.
O'Sullivan shoved me.
I suppose it couldn't help it.
He's showing off to Maggie. O'Sullivan! Oh, don't act all innocent and polite. You shoved me!
Well, supposing it did, so what?
I'll show you what, Maggie Toole. I'll show you what. Come here, O'Sullivan.
What do you want?
Aside from the shoving, there's something else on me mind. You say your name's O'Sullivan. Well, no one knows you here. O'Sullivans in this district know one another. You escorted one of our lady members here, and we want a chance to make good. Phil Creedy?
Yes, Kirby.
Isn't it a fact you know every Irishman in this district?
I do.
All the Sullivans included?
I do.
Now, to be fair, we'll ask Phil here to give an expert opinion before we take action. Phil, is this man an O'Sullivan or not?
No, you're a liar.
Oh, he is he? Well, tell him, Phil, tell him. If he's got a family tree, let's see a few historical O'Sullivan buds come out of it. Or we'll dig it out of him by the roots.
Yes, all right, let's see.
Come on, we're waiting.
Now keep away from me.
Give us answers or we walk right over you.
Oh, no, you won't.
Kirby, be careful. Someone do something. O'Sullivan's got a knife.
What? O'Sullivan draws a knife, and O'Sullivan puts up his fist like a man. Tell him, Phil. He's Italian, and he came here under false pretenses.
Yes, you did.
Oh, Kirby, please.
Tell him, Phil.
O'Sullivan, or whoever you are, you've insulted Maggie Toole. And for insulting our women, we've got a special room for that. It's called the Slaughterhouse, and it's over there behind the band,
And what this modest man is trying to say is, he's taking you into that room, and he's going to thrash you and throw you into the street.
Oh, but Phil's no match for this man.
Oh, wait and see. You don't know, Phil. Come on, boys. Into the room with O'Sullivan, so called.
Here, let me go.
We will when we've done with you. Michael, Jimmy, Phil, all the rest of you flatten him.
Right. Hey.
Now, throw him out. Well, now that's done. Now, Phil boy, open that door and step out like the hero you are. Go on. Go on, man.
Philly, all right.
Yes, Maggie.
Oh, listen to him saying, yes, Maggie. Modest as you like. Why, he handled O'Sullivan, so-called, with one hand, had him down and out into the street like a prize fighter taking a championship belt. Didn't you, Phil?
Yes.
Yes.
Why, there's not a scratch on him.
Not a scratch. Is there, Phil?
No.
A red-blooded lad, our Phil Creedy. Red-blooded, eh? Phil, was there something you wanted to ask Maggie?
Oh, yes.
Well, go on. Go on!
Yes, Phil.
Well, would you be having this dance with me?
Oh, yes, Phil. And all the dances on the card, Phil.
The world of O. Henry was a fascinating forum in which the poor and the wealthy, the sad and the gay rubbed shoulders in the most diverting fashion. Each had a story to tell. This was one of them, brought to you in the O. Henry Playhouse.
Genius is a flower of great rarity that grows in the most unlikely places. Recognition of genius is an accolade that usually becomes a posthumous award. Certainly, this is true of the man called simply O. Henry, master of the tale with a twist, and one of the greatest storytellers of all time. The O. Henry Playhouse, dramatizing some of the most diverting stories ever told.
We've been told that it's as easy for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle as for a rich man to attain paradise. Here is a tale of the rich and the newly poor, cast in an unexpected setting and burdened with an extremely curious title, Bo Peep of the Ranchers.
So I guess that's it, Auntie. I'm a pauper. Not merely a widow, mark you, but also a pauper.
Oh, you're so extreme in your statements, Octavia, dear. Now, if you find yourself temporarily in need of small change, my purse is in the drawer of the writing desk.
Oh, dearest Auntie, it isn't a case of small change. It's abject, staring, unpicturesque poverty. I've just come from my late husband's lawyer, and, well, the fact is, ma'am, I ain't got nothing at all.
Oh, do be serious, my dear, long enough to tell me what you mean. Now, Colonel Beaupre's estate...
Colonel Beaupre's estate turns out to be of Spanish castellar architecture. Colonel Beaupre's resources are wind. Colonel Beaupre's stocks are water.
Octavia!
Colonel Beaupre's income is all in.
Oh, Octavia, I can hardly believe it.
Auntie dear, these past 2 hours of the lawyers, I've had to.
And to think I was under the impression he was worth millions. And the de Pasters themselves introduced him.
Oh, de mortuus nihil, Auntie. Oh, the dear old Colonel. What a gold brick he was after all. Oh, well, I paid for my bargain fairly. I'm not going to squeal. Isn't that what they call it when you rail at fortune because you've lost the game?
Octavia, dear, there is my 3,000.
Oh, darling, your 3,000 is just sufficient to keep the Persian in sterilized cream. No, Octavia Beaupre née Vandressa is going to earn her own living. There's nothing else to do.
Earn your living? But at what, dear?
Yes, exactly what at. Oh, I'd forgotten. There's one thing saved from the wreck. It's a corral. No, a ranch in, let me see, Texas. An asset, dear old Mr. Bannister called it. Oh, how pleased he was to show me something unencumbered.
Oh, a ranch in Texas. Oh, it sounds to me more like a liability than an asset. Those are the places where the centipedes are found and cowboys and fandangos.
The Rancho La Sombra. It is situated 110 miles southeast of San Antonio and 38 miles from its nearest railway station, Nopal.
Oh, dear me, the ends of the earth.
No, listen. Ranch consists of 7,860 acres of well-watered land with title conferred by state patents, 8,000 graded merino sheep with the necessary equipment of horses, vehicles, and general ranch paraphernalia. Ranch house built of brick, all within a strong barbed wire fence. The present manager seems to be competent and reliable and is rapidly placing on a paying basis a business that in other hands had been allowed to suffer from neglect.
Oh, that prospectus fails to mention the centipedes. And you never did like mutton.
Auntie, I'm going to learn to like mutton. I'm going to that ranch.
Octavia, but you, a girl gently bred.
I shall even concede the good qualities of centipedes at a respectful distance. Oh, it's just what I need. A new life just when my old one is ending. Why, it's a release, Auntie. It isn't a narrowing.
Oh, my dear child.
No, I don't say another word. I'm going. Oh, I'll see the sky at night fit down on the world like a big butter dish cover, and I'll make friends with the stars that I haven't had a chat with since I was a wee child. Oh, I want to go.
But you...
Oh, I'm tired of all this, Auntie. I'm glad I haven't any money. Why, I could bless my late husband for that ranch and forgive him all his bubbles.
Oh, but my dear...
What if the life will be rough and lonely? I deserve it. I shut my heart to everything, except money. Oh, I want to get away and forget. Forget.
Oh, Octavia. There was somebody else. No, I didn't know. Who was it, my dear?
thought at least my manager might have... Why, Teddy Westlake, is that really you?
Octavia Van Dressen, what are you doing in Texas?
Well, what are you?
Well, I'm working down here.
Well, I'm living down here.
Seriously? You didn't notice on the train an old lady with gray curls and a poodle who occupied 2 seats with her bundles and quarreled with the conductor, did you?
No. Oh, you haven't by any chance noticed a big man in a blue shirt and 6 shooters with little flakes of merino wool sticking in his hair, have you?
Oh, lots of them. Do you happen to know any such individual?
No, the description's imaginary. Oh, is your interest in the little old lady a personal one, Teddy?
Never saw her in my life, Tave. She's painted entirely from fancy.
Oh.
She owns the little piece of property where I earn my bread and butter, the Rancho de la Sombra.
The rancho? You mean you're the manager of the ranch?
I certainly am.
I'm Mrs. Beaupre. But my hair never would curl, and I was polite to the conductor.
But you mean you... Oh, well, I hope you'll excuse me. You see, I've been down here quite a while and out of touch. I hadn't heard.
Oh, it's perfectly all right.
Well, you give me your checks, please, and I'll have Jose load your luggage under the wagon. I drove over in the buckboard instead of the station wagon. I hope you don't mind.
Well, if a buckboard's horse-drawn, I'm delighted.
Good. Then, if you'll come this way, Mrs. Beaupre.
Seated beside Teddy in a featherweight buckboard, Octavia abandoned all thought as they struck across a world carpeted with an endless reach of curly mesquite. The temperate wind, made fragrant by thousands of acres of blue and yellow wildflowers, roared gloriously in their ears. Octavia sat silent, possessed by a feeling of elemental, sensual bliss. Tall, tanned Teddy Westlake seemed to be wrestling with some internal problem.
Yep, that's it. I'm going to call you Madama.
Madama?
Well, the Mexicans will. They're nearly all Mexicans on the ranch, you know. And that seems to me about the proper thing.
Oh, very well, Mr. Westlake.
Hey, now that's carrying the thing too far, isn't it?
Oh, don't bother me with your beastly etiquette. I'm just beginning to live. Don't remind me of anything artificial. Oh, if only this air could be bottled. Oh, look. Look, there's a deer.
A jackrabbit.
Might I drive?
On one condition. Might I smoke a cigar?
Forever. Here, give me the reins.
Yeah, there. Keep a sour by southeast and all sail set. I'll recite you the whole code of driving rules for the Texas prairies. Keep the reins from under the horse's feet and swear at them frequent.
Oh, I'm too happy to swear, Ted. Oh, why do people buy yachts when a buckboard and a pair of nags in a spring morning like this can satisfy all desire?
Well, now, I'll ask you not to call those 2 denizens of the air nags. They can kick out 100 miles between daylight and dark.
Room? I know now what I wanted. Scope, range, room.
Madama, however did you get it into your head to cut the crowd and come down here? Is it a fad now among the upper classes to trot off to ranches instead of Newport?
Well, I was broke, Teddy. I haven't a thing in the world but this ranch.
Dave.
In fact, it's the only home I've got. And do you happen to know of any fashionable caprice among the gilded youth of Manhattan that induces them to abandon polo and yachting to become managers of ranches?
Well, now, that's easily explained in my case. I had to go to work. So I chummed a while with old Sanford, who owned the ranch before Colonel Beaupre bought it. I wasn't manager at first. I jogged around until I saw where the place was losing, and, well, then I was put in charge. I get $100 a week and earn it.
Oh, poor Teddy.
It's okay, I like it. I save half my wages, and I'm as hard as a water plug. Beats polo.
Well, will it furnish bread and tea and jam for another outcast from civilization?
Well, the spring shearing has just cleaned up a deficit. The autumn clip will leave a small profit over all expenses. Next year, there'll be jam. Well, this is it. The ranch house. How's it look?
Like a home, Teddy. That's what it is. It's a home.
Yeah, well, it's pretty rough, but not so bad. Yeah, I've been tinkering on it at odd times. Hey, give those horses a good rub down, Manuel.
Si, senor. Oh, so you're back, Mr. Westlake.
Yeah, there's Mrs. McIntyre, the housekeeper. Mrs. Mac, here's the boss.
Oh, really? But she's so young, Mr. Westlake.
Yeah, she is, isn't she?
Hello, Mrs. McIntyre.
Welcome to you, Mrs. Beaupre. Do come in.
Oh, thank you.
Very likely the boss will be wanting a hunk of bacon and a dish of beans after a trip, Mrs. Mac.
I like that, Mr. Westlake. Now, whatever will the young lady think she's fallen into?
Oh, don't apologize for Teddy, Mrs. McIntyre.
Teddy?
Well, that's what I call him. Like everyone else, he hasn't duped into taking him seriously. You see, we used to cut paper dolls and play jackstraws together ages ago.
Oh, you don't say no.
No one minds what Teddy says.
No, no one minds what Teddy says, just so he doesn't do it again.
Oh, now, Mr. Westlake likes his joke, but people around here usually pay attention to what he says when he talks in earnest.
Thank you, Mrs. Mac.
Ah, fair's fair, Mr. Westlake. Upon my word, ma'am, I don't know what would have become of this place without him.
Oh, I guess I'd better go out and see how they're getting on. Mrs. Mac will show you your room, Madama.
Thank you.
Aye, I'll show you. No luxuries, but clean and comfy. And Mr. Westlake's put some of his books in your room to... Something wrong, ma'am?
No. For a moment, I thought Teddy remembered.
Remembered, ma'am?
Wishful thinking, Mrs. Mac. Beyond a doubt, he's forgotten everything.
Oh. Well, I'm afraid I don't quite know what that means.
That could make two of us, Mrs. Mac.
Madama lay awake for a long time that first night. Listened to faint, strange sounds, the fractious yelping of the coyotes, the ceaseless low symphony of the wind, the lamentation of a concertina in the Mexicans' quarters. There were many feelings in her heart: thankfulness and rebellion, peace and disquietude, loneliness and a sense of protecting care, happiness and an old haunting pain. The memory of the last time she'd seen Ted Westlake.
You may as well face it, Tavia. You're going to marry me.
No, I'm going to marry money.
Rot. I love you and you're going to marry me, Tave.
I'm not. I want you to go. And I never want to hear this love nonsense out of you again.
Well, if that's the way you like it, you won't. Never again.
But next morning, things looked much better to Octavia.
Your kingdom, Madama, flocks, dipping vats, shearing pens, the lot.
And all enclosed within a strong barbed wire fence.
Huh?
Oh, my lawyer's description of this property. Yes, it might apply to my manager, too.
Me?
Oh, I shouldn't get personal, but you are, you know. You're different. Come on, Pancho. Go ahead with your account of your stewardship, Mr. Westlake. It's very impressive.
Si, Madama. Shearing pens over this way, dipping vats to the left.
Explain it all to me. I want to learn. Or at least understand.
Right?
Do you still paint a bit, Teddy, and write a bit?
No.
Sorry. Carry on, Mr. Westlake.
Corrals and wool sheds.
Oh, those oak trees. I think they're the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Well, they're what gives the ranch its name, you know.
De la Sombra.
Ranch of the Shadows. Ranch of the Shade, as it were.
Oh, when I think of what Aunt Ellen threatened me with. Mutton and wild Indians and centipedes, desolation. Yes, and how I felt herring across country in that train. Only yesterday.
Oh, now, don't make any mistake, Madama. It's lonely out here, all right, and there are centipedes. And it's always going to be a battle to make the place pay.
Yes, but you... yes, I suppose so.
Well, wait till summer comes and the droughts. The hot season runs right through May to September. Buenos dias, Pedro.
Buenos dias, senor.
Buenos dias, Pedro.
Buenos dias, Madame Bo Peep.
I'll soon get all their names right.
Well, they'll never get yours right. Sounded like Bo Peep.
Very apt with all my sheep.
I dub you Madama Bo Peep of the Rancho de la Sombra.
July. I've decided it's my favorite month.
Yeah, still too hot and dry for my liking. It's just as well I installed those extra water tanks last spring, Madama.
I was thinking of the nights. Oh, now I know what they mean by fragrant and languorous and all those lovely words.
Speaking of fragrance, you mind if I have a cigar, Madama?
No, I like it.
Well, you should. I smoke nothing but the best Havana.
Oh, isn't that awfully expensive for a ranch manager?
Well, it's my one remaining luxury, Madama. I'm feeling pretty hopeful about the autumn clip.
Oh, good. This is just the night to prognosticate about the autumn clip.
Well, your future may well depend on the autumn clip.
Then by all means prognosticate.
I'll just leave you a jug of iced drink, Madama, and take myself off to bed.
Oh, won't you come and sit with us, Mrs. Mac?
Oh, and have that smoke blown in my face for the rest of the night.
Oh, now don't be hard on me, Mrs. Mac.
Good money going up in flames, Mr. Westlake?
Absolutely, but an innocent vice, Mrs. Mac.
Oh, nice talk before Madama. I'll say good night then.
Good night, Mrs. Mac.
Good night.
Good night, Mrs. Mac.
Teddy, what are you working down here on a ranch for?
100 per and all found.
Oh, I've got a good mind to fire you.
Can't.
And why not?
Under contract. Terms of sale respect all unexpired contracts. Mine runs until 12 p.m. December 31st.
Oh, it does?
Well, you might get up at midnight on that date and fire me.
I just might.
Well, don't try it sooner. I'll be in a position to bring legal proceedings. But I've been thinking of resigning anyway.
Resign? Oh, well, it's lonely down here. I don't wonder you're anxious to get back to the old life. Polo and lobsters, theaters, balls.
Well, I never cared much for balls.
Why, you're getting old, Teddy. Your memory's slipping. Why, nobody ever knew you to miss a dance unless it happened on the same night as another one you attended. Yes, you showed such shocking taste, too, dancing too often with the same partner. Let me see. What was that Forbes girl's name? You know, the one with the wall eyes, Diane, wasn't it?
No, Denise. Diane was the one with the bony elbows. That wasn't wall in Denise's eyes, it was soul. We used to talk sonnets together.
You were on the floor with her 5 times that last night I saw you. I mean, at the Hammersmiths.
Hammersmiths what?
Ball. What were we talking about?
Eyes, I thought, and elbows.
Those Hammersmiths had too much money. At Mines, wasn't it? They couldn't get a glass of plain water in their house. Everything at that ball was dreadfully overdone.
Yes, it was.
Such a crowd there was. I lost something at that ball.
Yeah, so did I.
A glove.
I lost caste. I hobnobbed half the evening with one of the Hammersmiths miners, a fellow who kept his hands in his pockets and talked like an archangel about sluice boxes.
A pearl gray glove. Nearly new.
First-class chap, that miner. Man who hated olives and elevators. A man who handled mountains as croquettes and built tunnels in the air. A man who never uttered a word of silly nonsense in his life. Which reminds me, did you sign those lease renewal applications yet, Madame? They've got to be on file in the land office by the 31st.
Good night, Teddy.
Aren't you going to bed already?
That warm July night, Madame Bo Peep slept poorly. There were centipedes in this country, she felt sure, and vast, lonely, desolate, empty wastes, all within strong barbed wire fences. And managers who were thinking of resigning, who remembered balls at which they had proposed only by the talk of miners about sluice boxes. How could she have ever thought this burning land was a paradise? She rose late and strangely subdued.
Mrs. Mac! Mrs. Mac, what on earth? What?
Centipede!
Centipede, oh, I knew
There!
it.
Oh, it's running away.
Oh, beastly thing, let it run.
Oh, no, not inside the house. We'll not know where it is. We must kill it, Madama. It's poisonous.
Oh, I'll take the broom, Mrs. Mac.
Oh, the mop. Well, we've got to kill it.
There it goes down the passage. Come on.
Oh, I'm terrified of the things. Don't let it get away.
Oh, all those hideous little yellow legs.
Oh, losh, Mr. Westlake's room. It's scuttled into Mr. Westlake's room, and him so particular about his privacy.
But we'll have to go in, Mrs. Mac.
Aye, that will have to. Can you see it?
So this is Teddy's room.
Can you see the beastie, Madama?
Oh, no, not a sign.
Oh, could be anywhere. In the bed. Or the bureau. Aye, the door of the bureau's open a wee bit.
Oh, let's try it together. I'd never have the nerve to kill it on my own, even if I were to see it.
Throw the door back wide.
All right, but stand by with that mop stick.
Aye. Do you see it, Madama?
It's there.
Where?
Why, there in the bureau. It's the same, I know it is.
The centipede.
The glove.
Glove?
One pearl grey glove, nearly new. He kept it all this time.
Kept it? A glove?
Oh, the brute, the darling. Oh, Mrs. Mac.
There, I found it.
What, did you lose something?
The centipede. You've now forgotten him already. Oh, kill him.
Oh, there he goes. Quick, come Oh, there!
That's got him, the little monster.
It seems a poor sort of reward to murder it.
Reward, madame? A centipede?
Oh, Mrs. Mack, isn't it a beautiful morning? And isn't this prairie land the closest thing to paradise you ever saw?
Paradise? Well, I've never thought of it quite like that.
Good evening, Teddy.
Evening, madame.
Oh, Mrs. Mack tells me there's something missing from your room, but she couldn't say what.
Oh, it's nothing of importance, just a little something I seem to have mislaid.
No, poor Teddy, I'm so sorry.
Of absolutely no importance. Yes, a pleasant night, madame.
Pleasantly dark, Teddy?
Ah, quite dark. You mind if I have a cigar, madame?
No, I like it. I find the smoke fragrant.
Good. So do I. Where did you get that?
Oh, the glove? Oh, I've been looking for it for ages. Ever since the Hammersmiths' ball, and today, chasing a centipede. Oh, Teddy.
You said never again to talk nonsense, do you?
Please talk nonsense to me, Teddy, please. Again and again and again. 2 months after your leaving for Rancho de la Sombra, it was discovered that Colonel Beaupré's title was worthless. A deed came to light showing that he disposed of the property before his death. The matter was reported at once to your manager, Mr. Wesley.
Octavia, darling, thought I'd come back here for midday chow, seeing you...
Teddy, what are you working on this ranch for?
Well, I told you, 100 per...
Teddy, I've just received a letter from my lawyer.
Oh.
The matter was reported to your manager, Mr. Westlake, who at once repurchased the property. It is entirely beyond my powers of conjecture to imagine how you have remained in ignorance of the fact. Repurchased the property. Did you, Teddy?
Yeah, it's my ranch, Dave. It's a mighty poor manager that can't absorb the boss's business if you give him time.
And you didn't breathe it. Oh, but darling, I thought you must be absolutely broke. I didn't care.
Well, to tell the truth, Dave, I didn't come down here to work for the salary. Well, that about kept me in cigars and sunburn lotion. I'm no millionaire, but we'll be well enough off.
Why did you come?
Well, I was sent south by my doctor.
Teddy?
I'm all right now. Ozone and rest and work and all that.
But what?
Right along. No, don't look like that, darling. It's okay now. But it was worrying for a while.
Teddy.
Oh, darling. Hey, what do you say to a wedding trip on a white yacht through the Mediterranean?
Darling, what do you say to a wedding gallop among the flocks and back to a wedding breakfast with Mrs. Mack on the veranda with maybe some orange blossoms stuck to the red jar over the table?
Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep and doesn't know where to find 'em. Let 'em alone and they'll come home and...
And what Octavia whispered in Teddy's ear is one of the tales they brought behind them.
The world of O. Henry was a fascinating forum in which the poor and the wealthy, the sad and the gay rubbed shoulders in the most diverting fashion. Each had a story to tell. This was one of them, brought to you in the O. Henry Playhouse.
Genius is a flower of great rarity that grows in the most unlikely places. Recognition of genius is an accolade that usually becomes a posthumous award. Certainly, this is true of the man called simply O. Henry, master of the tale with a twist and one of the greatest storytellers of all time. The O. Henry Playhouse, dramatizing some of the most diverting stories ever told.
Henry's countless stories are connotations of love in all forms. His love of us and our love of others. And when one loves art, no service seems too hard. Well, that is O. Henry's premise. This story will draw a conclusion from it and show at the same time that the premise is incorrect. The story is called The Service of Love. Destiny, it seemed, intended Joe Larrabee and Delia Carruthers to meet. The two young people were born far, far away from each other, but at an early age began to show talents which later became their art. And at 21 respectively, Joe and Delia departed for the city. And destiny decreed that within an hour of stepping off a city bus, they met in a small restaurant where painters, musicians, writers, and others also met.
Hello, there's a new face coming in, I think. Well, have you seen him before?
No, Bill, I can't say I have. Looks a bit like the country cousin type, doesn't it?
Yes, George, yes. Very much the part. And lonely, too.
Lost.
Well, let's call him over. Do a little service to humanity. Hi there. Yes, you with the suitcase.
Oh, hello.
Hello. You new around here?
Well, yes. As a matter of fact, I've just got off the bus. This is my first day... my first hour in the city.
Oh, your first hour. Well, George, how about that? Country lad, eh?
Yes, I'm a painter.
Well, so am I.
After a fashion.
I'm Bill Meager. This is my friend George Swift.
How do you do?
George has a famous name, but that's all. George tries to write.
I always try to eat regularly. I'm not dedicated to art. Well, sit down, sit down. Have some coffee.
Oh, thanks, that's nice of you. Perhaps I'd better buy some more. The pot's pretty empty.
Ah, you put your money away.
Are you sure?
Sure, I'm sure. It's on me while it lasts. And when it's gone, who knows?
I do. I pay. Or Joe pays.
Well, I have a few pounds.
Oh, come on. Who's asking you? And besides, you'll need it. Unless you have a doting relative in town who believes in you as a genius.
No, I'm alone.
Aren't we all?
As a matter of fact, I'll have to get busy and find a room. Nothing expensive, of course.
Of course. Well, Bill rooms with me and I pay the rent. I manage a few jobs. Car cleaning, garage work, that sort of thing. I meet a lot of types, gain a lot of experience. You can't write unless you mingle with the people.
What are you talking about? You've been mingling with them all your life. And frankly, earning my living at anything but painting would be a slow and painful death for me.
You hypocrite.
When one loves art, no service seems too hard.
Yes, I believe that.
Do you, Joe? Honestly?
Yes, honestly.
But when you find, like old Mother Hubbard at the larder's bare, what then?
Oh, something always turns up. You know that, George.
Yes, like, for instance, yours truly with a pay packet every week. Now, you're a phony, Bill. Lazy. Bone lazy. But Joe here, yes, I believe his art's everything in the world to him. He'll stick with it and starve with it. No service too hard, as you said.
Oh, dear, how clumsy of me. Oh, I've spilled your coffee. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's quite all right.
Oh, no, it isn't. I shouldn't have tried to force my way to the counter with this suitcase in my hand. It's far too big.
It's too big for you to carry.
Oh, no. I managed nicely all the way from the bus.
The bus? You've just arrived in the city?
Yes, I have.
Ah, from the country.
Well, yes, how did you know?
Why, the fresh bloom on your cheeks, the dazzling light of excitement in your eyes. That look that you once have, like a soldier coming to do battle with the jungle and the city.
Oh, look, take no notice of him, Miss...
Delia Carruthers.
Delia. If you've dropped in for coffee, there's a cup left in the pot.
Oh, that's very nice of you, but I couldn't think of depriving you.
Please, Delia, won't you sit down? I've just arrived myself. George and Bill were kind enough to invite me to join them. In the past few minutes, I feel... well, that things are already happening to me. I've made new friends. Life's already started for me here, you know?
Yes. Well, thank you. I'll have some coffee.
I'm Joe Larrabee. I'm a painter.
I'm a pianist.
Oh, I'm just another painter.
And I'm a garage attendant and a writer sometimes.
Is something wrong?
Oh, Oh, no. Everything's perfect now. But, just as I came in here, I felt as though I'd made a mistake leaving home. The city seemed to engulf me. I wanted to run back to the bus and go home.
So did I.
You did?
Yes. But I couldn't. Something wouldn't let me.
I know. I felt like that, too.
Oh? Do you know what it was?
Yes? Yes, I suppose I do. It's the way I can do things with 6 octaves on a piano. How about you?
The way I can do things with a brush and some paint.
How wonderful. How strange.
Strange?
Yes, that we should both get off a bus in the same city, about the same hour, I suppose, each feeling the same way, and then we meet like this.
Yes. Yes, it is wonderful and strange.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, Bill.
Your coffee's getting cold.
Oh.
And now it's my turn. Would you like Bill and me to move to another table?
Oh, no. Where are you staying, Joe?
I haven't anywhere so far. I was just saying I have to find a room.
So have I. Of course, it can't be expensive or fancy.
Exactly.
Well, Uncle Bill can solve the problem, and I think to your mutual satisfaction.
Mutual satisfaction? What do you mean?
I mean that Mrs. Garrett has some nice, clean, cheap rooms at number 14, just down the street. George and I live next door. Just tell Mrs. Garrett that Bill Meager sent you.
Oh, that is nice of you, Bill.
Oh, no, it isn't. The more friends I have, the more days in the week I can eat. Just turn left as you go out the door for Mrs. Garrett's.
Thanks. I'd better be going.
Oh, so soon?
Yes, I'd like to get settled.
So would I.
Oh, well, all right, you two. Go ahead. We'll see you later. If not at Mrs. Garrett's, then here. It's a second home, this place.
And there's always credit, up to a point.
Well, I can't tell you how grateful I am for your help. Are you ready, Delia?
Oh, of course, Joe. Bye, Bill. George.
Bye.
Goodbye. You know, George, there go 2 people who love art.
Yes. And 2 people who must eat.
They'll live on love.
Don't be silly, they've just met.
Well, if it isn't circumstance that draws them together, then it's art. But give them a few weeks, and their appetites for it will weaken in their longing for a nice, thick, rare steak.
Are you there, Miss Carruthers?
Yes, Mrs. Garrett.
Can I come in?
Yes, of course.
I brought you a receipt for the week's rent.
Oh, thanks. But you needn't have bothered.
Business is business. Besides, I like to keep things straight, you know what I mean.
Well, don't you find everything satisfactory?
Oh, yes, dear, I do. You're a good tenant. But you never know. I mean, so many artists and writers and musicians come here from time to time. They pay a week's rent and owe a month's.
Mrs. Garrett, I've been here a month and I pay regularly. Besides, I expect to take a few pupils soon.
Pupils? But I thought you were studying piano off one of those long-haired celebrities.
Well, yes, I am. The famous Mr. Rosenstock is my teacher. He's one of the best in the world.
That's right, Mrs. Garrett. He is.
Ah, hello, Mr. Larrabee.
Here's your rent.
Thanks. I'll get you a receipt.
Later will do.
Ah, yes. I suppose you two want to be alone.
Well, what did she mean by that?
I suppose exactly what she said.
Well, there seemed to be an oblique meaning.
Oh, don't be silly. She's not oblique about anything. How's Rosenstock?
Oh, wonderful. How's Magister?
He's a master. I still get awed every day when I go to his studio. Mind you, he's a tough teacher. Never lets me get away with a thing. Oh, sometimes I just can't take his discipline anymore. But I go on and I find I'm improving. I'm really improving.
I know you are, Joe. You'll be a great painter someday.
And you'll be a great pianist someday.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure of your future, but not of my own, and I want success so badly.
So do I. Well, we shall both have it. Why, we've done everything together since we've arrived in the city. We're bound to succeed together.
Oh, the way you say it makes me believe. Oh, Joe, there's nothing I wouldn't do to succeed.
Me too. Delia.
Yes, Joe?
We've been living next door to each other for a month. But I'm in here more often than I'm in my own room, and... Well, I can't keep away.
Well, I wouldn't want you to. I miss you if you're away even for an hour.
I feel that way about you, too.
Do you, Joe?
Yes. It's a feeling just as strong as my painting. I want you just as much as I want success.
Oh, Joe.
Do you feel that way, too?
Oh, yes, Joe, yes.
Darling, let's get married.
Yes, please.
Right away?
Sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, which room should we convert into a double? Yours or mine?
Oh, it doesn't matter much. I don't care just so long as we're together.
Perhaps I care about one thing.
What's that?
Joe, marriage won't change us, will it?
Why, Delia, it'll make us. Improve what we are, what we feel for each other and our art.
But responsibility won't change us, though, will it? I mean, we'll really stick to what we're doing and succeed, won't we?
Of course. Catch me being like George and working at a job during the day. No thanks. I'll sell my paintings, you'll see.
And I'll have a whole string of pupils for piano lessons, you'll see. Nothing must interfere with our art.
No. Nothing.
We cannot say that as Delia and Joe swore their love for each other and for their art, they were not sincere, unswerving in their convictions. If there was any doubt, then Delia doubted only herself and her ability to reach the scale of perfection demanded of her by her great teacher, Rosenstock. And as for Joe, well, his teacher, the great Magister, taught only potential genius, and Joe's genius would bloom soon. Soon. Soon enough to pay the rent and buy the groceries and keep their love and their art living comfortably under one roof.
Mrs. Garrett? Mrs. Garrett, are you there?
She's just coming upstairs, Delia.
Oh, hello, Bill. Oh, it's nice to see you again. How are you?
Broke.
Oh.
How's the honeymoon couple?
Oh, fine, thanks.
Oh, financial?
Well...
George doesn't get paid till tomorrow. Are there a few shillings in the house?
Well, I'd have to see Joe.
Oh, never mind. I should have known better.
Well, I don't mind your asking, Bill. Really, I don't, but...
But the struggle for success, Rosenstock and Magister, goes on unswervingly. Art is the master, the keeper of the larder and the purse. Oh, well, I'll try somewhere else. Give my regards to Joe.
Yes, I will.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Garrett.
Is it now?
Oh, hello, Mrs. Garrett.
I hope you're going to pay the rent, Mrs. Larrabee.
Oh, yes, of course.
Good. I'll get you a receipt.
Oh, well, I haven't brought it with me. I'll have to ask Joe.
It was due yesterday.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sure Joe's overlooked it.
I hope so. If it isn't the rent you want to pay, what is it?
Well, it doesn't matter now.
Some coffee? Some butter?
Well, I do seem to have run out of coffee.
So have I.
Oh.
And you borrowed butter yesterday.
I know. I'll replace it as soon as I go to the shops.
Look, dear, you and your husband are just starting out in life. I like you. You're nice young people. But all this arty, crafty...
Oh, Mrs. Garrett!
Now, don't start taking offence. I'm trying to be helpful. I've seen a lot like you. Young couples, painters, writers and the like. They sink into a rut after a while. They don't try anymore. Honest, hard work is the last thing they want.
Mrs. Garrett, I don't like what you're saying.
As I said, I'm trying to be helpful. Like most your age, you won't listen, will you? Well, put up with the consequences. Music and painting won't feed you.
I intend to take some pupils.
You've been saying that for weeks.
Well, Joe's going to sell his paintings.
I've heard that too.
Well, it really isn't your business, Mrs. Garrett.
When somebody owes me money, it's my business. And if it comes to that... Look, why don't you be sensible? Take a job.
I'm a pianist, Mrs. Garrett.
Yes, you can use your hands. There's not much difference using a steam iron to thumping a piano.
Of all the things to say, a steam iron?
Yes, the laundry on the corner wants someone to finish up the collars and cuffs for 'em. It pays fairly well. And I know Mrs. Sweeney, who runs the place. I could put in a word for you.
Oh!
All right, I can't do more, can I?
Oh, that beastly woman.
Oh, darling, what is it? What's happened?
It's Mrs. Garrett.
She asked about the rent, I suppose.
Oh, yes, she did. Of course, I told her I expect some pupils. Mr. Rosenstock has promised to have at least 5 or 6 for me at the studio within a few days, but Mrs. Garrett wants me to change all that for a steam iron.
A what?
A steam iron? Oh, she thinks I'd make a very good laundress.
Oh, she doesn't understand. Besides, you mustn't feel like this. It's all part of the struggle.
Oh, yes, I suppose it is.
I keep remembering what Bill said that first day I arrived in the city. When one loves art...
No service seems too hard.
Yes, do you remember it too?
Yes, I do. But it's so difficult to appreciate its full meaning. I mean...
I know what you mean, Delia. We are short of money. But if we truly believe in what we're doing, no one like Mrs. Garrett or George can hurt us with what they say.
George? Well, what has he been saying?
Well, I saw him this morning. We talked for a while, and he asked how things were with us. I said we're having a struggle, and he reacted much the same way as Mrs. Garrett.
You mean he told you about a job somewhere?
Yes, he did.
Oh, the cheek, the insulting... What kind of job?
Firing an oil furnace down at the garage.
An oil furnace? Well, what did you say?
Oh, I just thanked him and let it go at that.
Oh, Joe. Joe, you shouldn't have been so considerate and nice about it. An oil furnace, indeed. He knows you're Magister's best pupil. He's aware of your talent.
Of course he is. Now let's forget it. What's for lunch?
Oh, there's no coffee.
I'll go down and get some.
You can't. There's no money.
Oh.
And the rent's due.
I know.
And I owe Mrs. Garrett for half a pound of butter.
Delia, stop it.
We've got to eat, darling.
Yes, of course. Look, Magister says he'll introduce me to an art dealer, some fellow named Bleecker. I'm to take some of my paintings there first thing tomorrow morning. He's sure I'll get a commission.
Oh, darling.
Now stop worrying.
Oh, how wonderful. And with my pupils besides, we'll manage quite nicely.
Yes, I hope so. Mrs. Larrabee!
Yes, Mr. Larrabee.
Why, Delia. The table. Wine, roast veal. A banquet.
Just a sample of what we might expect in the future, darling. I've earned £8 this week.
No.
Yes. Lots of times I wanted to blurt out the fact that Rosenstock had found me 8 lovely paying pupils, but I thought, no. I'll wait until the end of the week when I'm paid. And now I'm paid and we can eat.
Delia, you're a success.
I am, sir. Not only a success, but also someone rather special to Colonel Pinkney.
Colonel Pink, is he young?
No, darling, don't be jealous. He's married too. And he has a very spoiled daughter named Clementina. She's had singing lessons, fencing lessons, and painting lessons, and this week she began piano lessons. And she likes me. She's no talent at all, but she likes me. Most of the time we simply sit and talk. Do you think that's dishonest?
Why, no, it's her father's money, isn't it?
Yes, that's a very good balm for my conscience. Now, please sit down and dine, sir.
Wait, I have something for the table, too. 6, 7, 8, £9.10.
Joe! Joe, you've sold a painting!
No, a sketch. Mr. Bleecker found me a rich tourist who wants every monument and every historic spot in town sketched. I was paid today for my first sketch, and henceforth I shall be paid regularly every week. I asked for a settlement every week, you see, and...
Joe, I'm so proud of you. But you don't seem excited.
Of course I am, but I'm afraid I'll have to be away from home all day, until quite late. These commissions will take me all over town.
Well, that fits in rather well.
How do you mean?
Oh, well, Rosenstock has decided to keep me at the studio all day from 8 until 4. Do you mind?
Of course not, Delia. I'm delighted.
I'm glad, Joe. Isn't it wonderful how things turn out for us? How we always seem to do things together? I mean, the big things in our lives. Arriving from the country on the same day, loving our art so much, and now succeeding at it at the same time. Oh, darling, we're very lucky people.
Delia.
Yes?
You'll still find time for your own lessons with Rosenstock, won't you?
Oh, of course.
Good.
And you'll still find time for your lessons with Magister, won't you?
Of course.
There. You see? Everything's perfect. Just wait till those cynics George and Bill hear about our good luck. Our success.
Here you are, Bill. Have another drink.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Would you like a savoury, Bill?
Don't mind if I do. Well, here's to your continued success. Oh, how long has prosperity been with you now?
Exactly a month. That's why we're celebrating.
4 full, satisfying weeks. And I've been able to eat fairly regularly, too, thanks to you.
You should find a rich tourist like me, someone who'll buy your sketches.
Yes, well, I won't say you're not a good artist, Joe, but getting all this support and money from one man isn't exactly success, is it?
Oh, Bill, please don't start shaking our lovely sense of security like that.
Well, it isn't, is it? Well, it can't last.
Of course it can.
Joe, what happens when your rich tourist goes home?
Then Joe will sell his work to someone else.
He'll have to, or you won't eat.
Look, Bill, we'll eat.
Yes, of course we will. Besides, I'll still have paying pupils like Clementina Pinckney.
A rich tourist and a spoilt little rich girl, and thereby hangs the security of the prodigies of Rosenstock and Magister, respectively. Oh, no, it won't do. Sooner or later, you'll have to step down and get in the working-class queue like George.
Why mention George now? What's he been saying to you?
Nothing.
But you keep on about the success Delia and I are having. I mean...
It's all right, Joe. He's only teasing you. Don't lose your temper.
No, I'm sorry.
Forget it. Oh, that's George now, I expect.
I'll let him in. Give Bill another drink, darling.
He's had too many already.
Well. Is this the top drawer of Rosenstock and Magister?
Hello, George. Look, before you go in, I'd like a word with you.
Yes, Joe?
I know I can trust you, but when a man's had a few drinks, well... You won't say anything to Delia, will you?
Of course not. But you'll have to tell us sooner or later.
Yes, I know. But I can't think when or how.
It'll come to you. Wait and see. You and Delia haven't got over the honeymoon stage yet, but when you come down to earth...
Hello, George.
Hi, Delia.
I'll take your coat.
Thanks.
There's cold ham, chicken and wine. Go on, Joe, give him a plate and a glass while I hang up his coat.
Come on, George.
Hi, Bill. You've got a head start, haven't you?
Oh, Delia, will you answer the door?
Yes, darling. Are we expecting anyone else?
I'm not. Are you?
No? Oh, it's you, Mrs. Garrett.
Yes. I heard about the little celebration, and I baked a few cakes.
Oh, thanks. That was very thoughtful of you.
Well, aren't you going to ask me in?
Yes, of course, but I...
Well, what are we standing here for, dear?
Mrs. Garrett, there's something I must say to you before you come in.
Yes?
You won't breathe a word to Joe, will you?
I told you I wouldn't. But you can't keep it from him forever.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Garrett, but I can't tell him until he's really successful, until he's selling his work everywhere. Can I?
I don't know. Can't you?
Joe!
Delia, why are you home so early?
Well, why are you?
Oh, well, it's nothing really, you see. Delia, your hand. What's happened to your hand?
Oh, I burnt it.
You burnt it? How could you burn it giving piano lessons?
Oh, well, I was making coffee for Clementina Pinckney, and I spilled some boiling water. It's nothing.
Nothing? Why, that spoiled brat. Why can't she make coffee? Isn't it enough that you have to try and teach a piano to... Oh!
Joe, you're limping.
Oh, no, it's nothing, really. It's just a bruise. I dropped... I mean, somebody dropped a spanner on my foot.
Well, how could anyone drop a spanner on your foot? I mean to say, when you're sitting somewhere in a quiet corner sketching, well, no one drops a spanner anywhere near you, do they? Well, do they?
No.
Well, how did it happen?
It really was a spanner.
Then where did it happen?
At the garage.
Garage?
Delia, I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you weeks ago. I've been looking after that oil furnace over at the garage where George works. I haven't been selling my sketches at all. There isn't any rich tourist, and the money I bring home is my week's wages. You can't imagine how I feel. Like a two-timer. And after all, Bill said that time about art.
I don't care what Bill said.
You don't?
No. And if you're a two-timer, so am I.
Oh, no, you're not, darling. You couldn't be.
Oh, yes, I am. I am. There's no Colonel Pinckney and no Clementina. I made them up. I haven't had any pupils from Rosenstock at all.
Then how did you hurt your hand?
Well, it's true that I burnt it, but I didn't spill coffee. The stupid, clumsy woman at the laundry, when Mrs. Garrett got me a job, put a steam iron down on it. Oh, Joe. An oil furnace and a steam iron.
Well, my rich tourist and your Clementina are both creations of the same art. But you couldn't call it either painting or music. When one loves art, no service seems...
No, Joe. When one loves, no service seems too great.
world of O. Henry was a fascinating forum in which the poor and the wealthy, the sad and the gay rubbed shoulders in the most diverting fashion. Each had a story to tell. This was one of them, brought to you in the O. Henry Playhouse.
Genius is a flower of great rarity that grows in the most unlikely places. Recognition of genius is an accolade that usually becomes a posthumous award. Certainly, this is true of the man called simply O. Henry, master of the tale with a twist and one of the greatest storytellers of all time. The O. Henry Playhouse, dramatizing some of the most diverting stories ever told.
How much is a fortune? Surely the most fascinating conjecture in the world. Personally, I've known times when a well-timed fiver would have filled the bill. I've also known a man to remain unmoved by the acquisition of a cool 100,000. All of which bears on the title of this story and the plaint of its young hero, What Can You Do with £1,000?
Nephew, you are a blithering idiot.
Yes, Uncle.
I shall cut you off.
Yes, Uncle.
With a shilling.
Of course, Uncle. That's practically obligatory.
Now get out.
Yes, Uncle. Oh, but before I go back to town...
I said out!
Oops. You've made your point, Uncle. Good night, Uncle.
Is Mr. Gillian calling for me, Mr. Gillian?
Bobby. No, he's throwing things at me. His aim's terrible, praise be. Oh, you look tired, Harriet.
Miss Hayden.
Well, she looks tired, too. Now, don't let the old boy push you around, Harriet.
Miss Hayden.
Oh, now, look. Seeing you're the ward of my Uncle Septimus, we're practically relations.
I must go and see if he wants me.
I admit calling you his ward is a typical Uncle Septimus trick to secure an unpaid skivvy, the old... No, you really do look tired, Harriet.
Mr. Gillian is very generous to you, Mr. Gillian.
Bobby. Awfully.
Very generous.
Well, he certainly keeps me in that state of life to which I've grown accustomed.
Exactly.
Namely, as a well-intentioned wastrel.
No wonder you aren't ashamed to admit it.
So pretty and so earnest, Harriet.
Miss Hayden.
It never seems to occur to you that my uncle needs me every bit as much as I need him. Well, now you ask me why.
I'm neither concerned nor interested.
Ouch. Uncle needs me to waste his money because he never wasted a brass razoo in his life. And through me, he can waste hundreds. Vicariously.
Yes, well,
He also needs me because he enjoys bawling people out, as you ought to know, being his chief victim. And if I didn't waste money, he couldn't bawl me out.
I suppose it would be too much to ask you to admit, Mr. Gillian, that you waste money on champagne and actresses and things, because that's the kind of person you are.
Ah, can you name me some better ways of wasting money?
Excuse me, Mr. Gillian, I at least have work to do.
Harriet. Miss Hayden. Oh, dear, I open my mouth and these things just pop out. Harriet. Miss Hayden. So pretty and so earnest, little Harriet.
In the fullness of time, Uncle Septimus died, as rich uncles eventually must. Now, for some heirs presumptive, eventually is always too long, but not, I assure you, for our young hero. Bobby was really very fond of the old boy, but being Bobby, hid the fact under a grin and a swagger as he breezed into Lawyer Tolman's office a few days after the unhappy event.
Sit down, Mr. Gillian.
Oh, any reason we can't stick to Bobby as always, Mr. Tolman?
Sit down, Mr. Gillian.
Yes, sir.
I've asked you to come here privately to hear the contents of your late uncle's will, out of consideration for your feelings.
Oh, dear. The proverbial shilling?
No, not quite. Shall I read you the document in toto?
Oh, no, thanks. No, you can spare me all that legal mumbo-jumbo. Just give me the facts and keep it simple. I'm never very bright at this time of the morning.
Very well. I shall simplify the salient points for your understanding.
That's the ticket. The simpler the better.
Apart from one or two individual bequests to the household staff and one to yourself, the bulk of the late Mr. Septimus Gillian's fortune has been left to endow medical research.
It has, eh? The shilling. Oh, well, that's that then. What about Harriet?
Harriet? Oh, you mean Mr. Septimus Gillian's ward, Miss Hayden.
Well, the old boy remembered her decently, didn't he?
To Miss Harriet Hayden, the sum of £100 and a seal ring.
£100? The miserable old skinflint.
Now, Mr. Gillian.
Well, I'm sorry, but he is. Was. Well, I mean, hang it all. If anyone ever earned a decent bequest, it's Harriet.
I should have expected, Mr. Gillian, that you would be interested in the bequest your uncle has made to you, his sole relative.
Oh, of course I'm interested, but it's an outrage. That girl positively slaved for the old...
Mr. Gillian.
All right. What did Uncle leave me, his sole relative?
£1,000.
What?
The sum of £1,000 in toto, which I am now empowered to pay to you.
1,000? Oh, dear old Uncle Septimus, what a sense of humour. Well, I mean, why 1,000?
Here is the full sum in £100 notes. Now, Mr. Gillian, there is a proviso.
There is, eh?
Yes, you are required under the terms of the will to render me an account of the manner of expenditure of this £1,000 as soon as you have disposed of it.
Render you a what?
A properly itemized account. I advise you to comply exactly with your uncle's wishes on this matter.
Well, of course I'll comply with it if that's what Uncle wanted. In spite of the extra expense involved.
Expense, Mr. Gillian?
Oh, I may have to engage a secretary. I was never any good at accounts.
Oh, come now.
1,000? That's a confoundedly odd amount. That's a confoundedly awkward amount. I mean, if it had been 10,000, a fellow might wind up with a lot of fireworks and do himself credit. Even 50 would be less trouble. Or the good old shilling.
I'll ask you to sign this receipt, Mr. Gillian, accepting both the amount and the terms of the proviso.
1,000. Now, what the devil can a fellow do with £1,000? Now, really, old Bryson, how on earth can I talk to you when you bury your nose in that newspaper?
I've told you before, Gillian, 40 years old only to the young and immature.
Oh, Bryson, I've a funny story to tell you.
Yes, well, I wish you'd tell it to someone in the billiard room. You know how I hate your stories.
Oh, this is a better one than usual. It's too sad and funny to go with the rattling of billiard balls. I've just come from my late uncle's firm of legal corsairs. He leaves me an even 1,000. Now, what can a man possibly do with £1,000?
I thought that the late Septimus Gillian was worth something like £1 million.
He was. And that's where the joke comes in. He's left his whole cargo of doubloons to a microbe.
Huh?
Well, part of it goes to the man who invents a new bacillus, and the rest to establish a hospital for doing away with it again. Now, there are one or two trifling bequests on the side. The butler and the housekeeper get a seal ring and 100 each, and his nephew gets 1,000.
You've always had plenty of money to spend.
Oh, tons. Uncle was the fairy godmother as far as an allowance was concerned.
Any other heirs?
None. Oh, I was forgetting. There's a Miss Hayden, a ward of my uncle's, who lived in the house. Now, she's a quiet thing, musical, and daughter of somebody who was unlucky enough to be his friend. Well, I forgot to say she's in on the seal ring and the 100 joke, too. I wish I'd been.
Indeed.
Then I could have turned on a good shindig, tipped the waiter with the ring, and had the whole business off my hands.
Yes, that would be all.
Now, don't be superior and insulting, old Bryson. Tell me what a fellow can do with 1,000 quid.
1,000, eh? Well, now, 1,000 can mean a lot or a little. One man could send his wife south with it and save her life. You could count on a half-hour's diversion with it at chemin de fer. Yeah, it would furnish a reasonable education for an ambitious boy. And I'm told that a genuine Corot was secured for that amount in an auction room yesterday by some lucky blighter.
Oh, really?
Yes, and then, of course, you could You could move into the country on it and live respectably for 6 months.
What a joke.
You could rent the Albert Hall for one evening with it and lecture your audience, if you should have one, on the precariousness of the profession of heir presumptive.
People might like you, old Bryson, if you wouldn't moralize. I asked you to tell me what to do with £1,000.
You? Why, Bobby Gillian, there's only one logical thing you could do. You can go buy Miss Lotta Laurier a diamond bracelet with the money, and then take yourself off to Australia and inflict your presence upon a farm. And I advise a sheep farm, as I have a particular dislike for sheep.
Thanks. I thought I could depend on you, old Bryson. You've hit on the very scheme. I wanted to chuck the money in a lump, since I've got to turn in an account for it, and I hate itemizing.
Wait, this is all the money you have in the world?
Why, of course.
And you want to get rid of it?
Yes. And what luck, it's Wednesday. That means Lotta's playing a matinee. Oh, cheerio. I knew I could count on you, old Bryson.
Well, you'll have to hurry. It's nearly curtain up, sir.
Yes, I know, Adams. Shan't be long. Hello, Smithy.
It's Mr. Gillian, Miss Laurier.
Bobby? I'll let him in.
Hello, darling. Surprise, surprise.
Hello, what is it, Bobby? I'm going on in 2 minutes.
This won't take 2 minutes. Smooth the powder on your right ear a little. That's better. Now, Lotta, my love, what do you say to a little thing in the bracelet line? Diamonds. I can stand 3 ciphers with a figure 1 in front of them.
Oh, Bobby! Oh, darn, my makeup, you ruined it. I'll fix it, Smithy.
Hold still, then.
A bracelet. Oh, what fun. Smithy, where's my right glove? I say, Bobby, did you see that necklace Della Stacy had on the other night? $5,000 it cost at Tiffany's. Oh, but of course, Smithy, my right glove.
Hold still while I fix your face.
Bobby, I'm not suggesting...
No, darling, of course not.
I'll be quite happy with a cheaper one, truly. All right, that'll do, Smithy. Now get that right glove. Bobby, where are you going?
Off, sweetie.
Bobby?
Sorry, sweetie. A man's entitled to change his mind. Wait for me, driver.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to see Mr. Tolman for a minute. No more than a minute.
Mr. Gillian's had...
I know, I saw him just this morning. I should like to see him again this afternoon. Now, it really won't take a minute.
This way, sir.
Thanks, I know my way. Oh, don't let me hold you up. I expect you're doing something awfully useful. I'll show myself in.
Oh, but, sir...
What the... Oh, you again. Good afternoon, Mr. Tolman. Oh, I'm sorry to turn on a Melville act like this, but there's something I'm not quite clear about. Do you mind if I ask you a question, Mr. Tolman?
Well, Mr. Gillian?
Under his will, my uncle made no other provision for Miss Hayden than the ring and £100, right?
None.
Absolutely none?
Absolutely none.
Well, now, one more question. Have you any notion of Miss Hayden's plans?
I understand she will be moving out of the late Mr. Septimus Gillian's house today. Beyond that, no notion.
Oh, still another question. Awfully sorry, Mr. Tolman. Is Miss Hayden aware of the full terms of my uncle's will?
Miss Hayden was informed of those elements of the will which affect herself.
Ah.
I interviewed Miss Hayden in this very room not an hour after seeing you, and delivered into her hands her inheritance in full.
And there's an end of it, eh?
So far as Tolman are concerned, decidedly.
Well, I thank you very much, sir. Good day.
You want me to wait, sir?
Well, I'm hanged if I'll walk back to the station. Hang on a minute. I'd better check on the petty cash. I may have to walk. Yes, the exchequer will just about cover it. Wait, please, driver.
Very good, sir.
Hello, Miss Hayden.
Oh, it's you.
Afraid so. May I drop in for a minute?
It's your house, Mr. Gillian.
I wish you meant it. Oh,
I
that
beg
is
your pardon?
Yes, I'll drop in for a minute.
I thought that must be my cab.
No, it's mine, but anything I have is yours. That is,
If you'll excuse me, Mr. Gillian, I have a train to catch quite soon.
Yes, of course. I know I'm an ass, and how much it irritates you.
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh, yes, and you're quite right. The fact is, though,
Yes?
Look, couldn't you stop disapproving of me long enough to call me Bobby? I mean, just this last once. I mean, it...
Bobby.
Well, that is absolutely wonderful. I love the way you say that. In fact,
I really do have a train to catch, Bobby.
I know. And I wish... That is, what are you going to do, Miss Hayden?
Harriet. I'll manage.
Yes, but how? I mean, well, from what I can understand, all you've ever done is look after an aged parent and then my aged uncle and, well...
Don't you start. I've spent the last 3 days talking myself out of being scared stiff about the future. I'll manage.
Yes, but...
Bobby, look, I don't want to sound earnest and pompous and all those things just now when I'm leaving, but I just don't have time to chatter. My cab's practically due.
Well, actually, I didn't come out to waste your time in chatter, Harriet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant...
Actually, I came out to save Mr. Tolman a trip.
Mr. Tolman?
I've just come from old Tolman's. The fact is, they've been going over the papers down there, Harriet, and they found an amendment or a postscript or something to the will.
Oh?
Yes, it seems the old boy loosened up a little on second thoughts, and he willed you an extra 1,000. Seeing time was so short, I told Tolman that I'd bring it up to you. I've got it right here, and... I say, are you all right? Harriet!
Oh, dear. I must have fainted. I'm awfully sorry.
Oh, that's all right, sweetie. Come on, drink this.
Thank you. You're really awfully kind, Bobby.
Well, it's awfully easy to be kind to you, Harriet.
£1,000. You mustn't think I care too much for money. But it does make all the difference.
Does it?
Of course, don't you see? I mean, it isn't a lot of money to a rich man like you, but me... It gives me a chance to look around. See what I could possibly do with my life. Train for something, perhaps. Oh, yes, all the difference.
I'm glad.
It sets me free. For the first time in my life, I'm free.
I'm so glad, Harriet. Oh, if you'll sign this receipt, I'll see Mr. Tolman gets it.
Thank you. There. Oh, that sounds like my cab.
I expect it is. Now, there's the money. Still sealed in Mr. Tolman's envelope. Oh, you'd better count it to see if it's right.
Don't be silly. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for bringing me such good news. And the money. Now, I really must go.
Harriet?
Yes?
I suppose... Well, that is... Well, I presume you know I love you.
I'm sorry, Bobby. I really am.
It's no use?
Afraid not, Bobby. I'm sorry.
I was afraid of that. That'll be your cab.
Yes.
Nothing's ever likely to change your mind, I suppose.
It isn't my mind, Bobby. It's just that I don't love you.
Oh, well. You're quite right, of course. Well, I'll help you out with your bags.
Oh, there's only one, and the driver can do it.
Well, in that case, I'll borrow a sheet of paper and an envelope from the bureau. I've a small account to render. Oh, you'd better go. Goodbye, Harriet.
Goodbye, Bobby.
Be happy, healthy, and fortunate, Harriet. You deserve it.
You're a nice boy, Bobby. If only... But we are what we are, aren't we? Take care of yourself.
Goodbye, Harriet.
Bye, Bobby. Just that bag, thanks, driver.
Paid by the black sheep, Robert Gillian, on account of the happiness owed by heaven to the nicest girl on earth. £1,000. Well, there it is, Mr. Tolman. In that sealed envelope, I render my account of the modus operandi of the complete and utter disposal of £1,000.
Already? Before the close of one working day? You have worked fast.
There's quite a feeling of summer in the air, don't you think, Mr. Tolman?
£1,000 in less than 8 hours. Incredible, quite incredible.
Well, I'll be off, Mr. Tolman. Here's the account, and there's an end of it.
Not so fast, if you please, Mr. Gillian. Before I open this envelope that contains your accounting, I must tell you that there was a codicil to your uncle's will.
Oh, you don't say.
Oh, but I do indeed. It was entrusted to me privately, with instructions not to disclose it to you until you had furnished us with a full account of your handling of the £1,000 bequest.
Well, carry on. And make it snappy, will you? I've an awful lot to do.
Now, I will not confuse you by resorting to the usual legal phraseology. I shall merely acquaint you with the spirit of the contents. Mr. Gillian, if your disposition of that £1,000 demonstrates that you possess any qualifications that deserve recognition, then much benefit will accrue to you.
Benefit? What do you mean?
My partners and I are named as judges, and somehow we are not at all unfavourably disposed towards you, Bobby. If your disposal of the money has been prudent, wise, or unselfish, it is in our power to hand over to you bonds to the value of £500,000.
What? Do you mean I'm rich?
However, if you have used this money as you have always used money in the past, I quote the late Mr. Septimus Gillian, in reprehensible dissipation among disreputable associates, the £500,000 is to be paid to Harriet Hayden, ward of the late Mr. Gillian, without delay.
To Harriet?
Now, Mr. Gillian, I shall take your accounting, still sealed, to open it in the presence of my other partners. I hope you will repose confidence in our decision. Mr. Gillian?
Yes?
I said I shall now take the...
No, you don't. Give me that.
What on earth are you doing?
I've changed my mind.
No, give me that envelope.
Oh, it's quite all right, Mr. Tolman. There's no need to bother you with it. I might as well tear it up, in fact.
Tear it? Bobby, what are you doing?
I'm saving you some work. Look, you'd probably never understand these itemized bets, Mr. Tolman. You never go to the races, do you?
Races? You lost the money at the races?
Yes, I'm afraid so. There. Well, I must be off. This has been quite a day, Mr. Tolman. Quite a day.
The world of O. Henry was a fascinating forum in which the poor and the wealthy, the sad and the gay, rubbed shoulders in the most diverting fashion. Each had a story to tell. This was one of them. Brought to you in the O. Henry Playhouse.